Hello dear viewers, thank you for choosing the Manhwa compilation channel. Please leave feedback in the comments after watching. Enjoy watching. Mighty Mountain of Linksea Village. The moon illuminates it from all sides. Even a light could be seen in the depths of the inner cave. It was our hero Tyler, who sat tiredly near the grave that he dug for himself. He was very upset that he would not be able to defeat fate. Nearby was the tombstone of his father, who also died by fate and curse. Since ancient times, all members of the Tyler family wore a black mark on their chest. Over the course of 10 years, bearers of this mark will weaken until their energy and blood run out and they die in unbearable pain. No one has yet managed to escape this fate. The curse has spared no one. This was evidenced by many tombstones in the depths of the mountain, belonging to the hero's ancestors. Tomorrow, Tyler's mark would turn 10 years old, which meant that he would soon have to suffer in agony. But the guy decided to die on his own, and quickly, since this was inevitable anyway. It seemed pathetic to him to just sit and wait for higher powers to mock him. As soon as he brought the knife to his chest, he immediately thought about the life of his ancestors. After all, they at least had the opportunity to be loved by their women, and he didn't even touch them. Ashamed of his needs, he only spied on the beautiful girls of the village, but did not dare to do more. The young man even decided to put aside his suicidal intentions for a moment in order to have time to enjoy all the delights of love. But before he had time to think it all through, suddenly something landed very powerfully near him. His father's tombstone flew off along with the guy. Due to the power of the blow, the stone almost pinned Tyler to the ground. Sitting behind the tombstone, the young man heard someone coughing in a column of dust and smoke. She was a beautiful girl who suffered greatly from the landing. Her body sparkled, her clothes were torn, and she herself was at the end of her strength. Looking out from behind his father's memory stone, the hero, scanning the girl's appearance, concluded that she could be a cultivator, a person who improves her strength and skills professionally. "Felicia, you can't escape me, honey," someone shouted outside. These words seriously excited the beauty. Quickly tucking her heels in, she rushed to the same rock where Tyler was hiding on the other side. Apparently, the girl really wanted to be unnoticed by her offender. "If you don't want to die from an explosion, then be an obedient girl and come to me," said a man floating on a sword near the cave. He acted very self-confident and apparently did not have good intentions. Although he promised to be gentle with her, Felicia did not succumb to his provocations. She shrank from unknown pain and tried not to even breathe. The offender waited for a long time for the girl to somehow show herself. But this did not happen. He decided that she managed to escape, and decided not to linger here either. The man admitted the failure of his plans and, gathering his energy into a heap, flew away, leaving behind a tail of energy light. Apparently, this cultivator is also quite strong. Felicia heard that her offender had left, but just in case, with timid steps she approached the exit of the cave to check. Tyler at that moment felt very awkward, because he witnessed something that could harm him. Therefore, the young man sat quietly behind a stone, trying not to give himself away. Suddenly, Felicia caught the man's scent and instantly headed towards the place where Tyler was hiding. She seemed to be filled with some unknown mania and desire. She looked both scary and beautiful. The girl passionately attacked the hero, despite his shock and fear. "Don't be afraid, baby," Tyler heard, seeing the beauty's breasts close to each other. The guy was lying on a cold, rocky rock and did not understand what was happening. Moreover, such a beautiful and strong lady embarrassed him very much. "Auntie won't hurt you, don't tell anyone where I touched you," the girl said in a fit of desire, sitting astride the hero. But at that very moment she seemed to switch. She realized that she was behaving inappropriately. This passion for eating was unnatural. Felicia, abruptly after tenderness, broke the young man's nose with all her might, accusing him of molestation. Tyler has already regretted coming to this mountain 10 times over. She looked lost, as if she wasn't herself. Something pushed her to such an appearance of passion, but the girl herself did not want it. And our guy was generally a hostage to the situation, who was either beaten or caressed. And again, a wave of dope covered Felicia. She grabbed Tyler's hand and gave her the direction herself. The girl again used the guy for her own purposes of quenching lust. He no longer really knew how to react, so he simply obeyed. But the beauty quickly let go. She aggressively squeezed the hero's just desired hand. "Oh, you scoundrel! Dared to take advantage of a woman after a fight." She hit him in the face with all her might. Tyler was already praying to all the gods, ancestors, and higher powers, so that they would finally take his life and he would not have to endure all this. Felicia stopped his hysteria with an unexpected kiss. The girl leaned on him with her whole body, not giving him a chance to escape. Although she behaved inappropriately due to some kind of spell, the kiss was special for Tyler, because he had never been so close to a beautiful female before. It was night. The passions in the cave stopped and there was complete silence and peace. Being unconscious, the hero muttered something under his breath and lay on the cold ground. Suddenly he woke up, but did not move away from the euphoria with the wonderful cultivator. Opening his eyes, the guy discovered that there was no one else in the cave except him and the gravestones of his ancestors. Tyler thought for a minute that he had dreamed all this, because an ordinary village-damned boy could not have been so lucky. Out of the corner of his eye, he noticed something unusual. Tyler discovered that the black mark on his chest had disappeared. This has never happened. The proof was the same ancestors behind us. And then suddenly such luck. He was simply in shock. Full of joy and hope for a bright future, the hero ran home along the mountain path. The young man was so glad that there were no side effects. The mark did not return, and the feeling was indescribable. He was glad that he would not follow in the footsteps of his relatives, that he would be able to meet a bunch of beautiful girls, similar to the one he saw in the cave. The hero still perceived Felicia as a dream, because it was difficult to believe that everything was in reality. She was a strong cultivator, and he was an ordinary guy without skills or status. Tyler was approaching the village and suddenly heard some noise and bustle. He walked closer to the edge of the cliff to take a closer look at everything, because it's usually quiet here this late. When the hero came closer, he saw that his village was burning in flames, and the inhabitants were attacked by mounted robbers. Everyone was screaming and running. You could hear the cries of women for help, the tears of children. Tyler realized with horror that their quiet village was attacked by cruel hunters for human wealth. The houses that people built with their own hands were burning. These scoundrels did not even hesitate to destroy what was opened with great difficulty. People were killed mercilessly, even when they were ready to give everything they had. It seemed like some kind of nightmare with no end in sight. The guy hid behind a tree, hoping to remain unnoticed. He understood that almost all the village residents had suffered at the hands of bandits, and thought about how he could help. "Let me go!" The painfully familiar voice of a girl came from behind. Tyler turned around to take a closer look. It was Layla, a neighbor whom the hero often watched. The girl was grabbed by the leader of a gang of robbers and mocked at her helplessness. "Don't be afraid, cutie. Play with us. And then you can have a chance to survive if we don't get too carried away." The robbers laughed. Tyler was very hurt by this. He couldn't just sit in the bushes and watch as the whole gang tried to dishonor his friend. Out of anger, the guy reflexively grabbed his knife, but suddenly his ardor was replaced by a feeling of fear for his life. He is not strong enough to withstand so many bandits, and the knife is not suitable. It's not a fact that they can scare forest animals. And yet the hero had mixed feelings. Courage and fear fought among themselves. He seemed to understand that he was not strong enough, but he was also ashamed to leave his girlfriend in trouble. The thought that he still wanted to live took over, because the mark on his chest was no longer there, and he didn't want to die so pitifully. When Tyler was already ready to run, he heard how the robbers were already lining up to fulfill their dirty desires with Layla. This made him even more disgusted. The gang leader brutally threw the poor girl to the ground. There is nothing more terrible than feeling in such a hopeless situation as Layla is now. She lay on the cold, damp grass in torn clothes and awaited her fate in horror, afraid to even imagine what these monsters could do to her. "I'll take care of you, beauty. You'll be asking for more," the leader mocked, taking off his shirt. Layla cried and begged not to do this. She was very scared. At this moment, Tyler still could not sit in the bushes. Honor and courage took over his cowardly mind. He jumped out like a shadow, aiming his knife straight at the leader. But the man noticed him, so he immediately turned around to prevent damage to vital organs. It so happened that the bandit stopped the guy's blow with his hand, which went right through. The young man understood that the attack tactics needed to be thought out a little better, because his improvisation was a little unsuccessful. The formidable robber was able to throw Tyler a considerable distance with one wounded hand. "Layla, don't stand there like a tree. Run away quickly," the hero shouted with his last strength, while the leader was distracted by his wound. The girl was pleasantly surprised that the boy stood up for her, but it would be better if she ran instead of being surprised while standing still. "Just run already! Don't stop, stupid!" Tyler tried to convey everything to her. "Watch out behind you!" Layla shouted, wanting to warn the young man. But it was too late. One of the members of a gang of mounted robbers thrust his sword into the hero, catching the place where the mark once was. "This is where you came from, brat? Did you think we would forgive you for such antics?" he said. The second robber continued to talk with such ease, as if killing people was a common thing for him. He calmly asked his boss how he was feeling. He replied that he escaped with a slight wound and there was nothing serious. Only Layla watched in horror as the most precious thing, life, was sacrificed for her sake. "Have you already counted on freedom?" "No, honey. Until I get what I want, you won't go anywhere." The leader spoke rudely, holding the girl by the hair. The boss threw her to the ground and pressed her with his weight, not giving her a chance to escape. He tore her clothes, blaming her for his injury. All the other gang members stood aside and watched all this with pleasure. Tyler, losing his vitality, looked at this picture and felt pathetic. He couldn't protect her, and realizing this made him want to burst. Looking at these vile monsters, the guy was already losing consciousness. The last thing he heard was Layla's request to save her. Opening his eyes, the guy found himself in some mysterious place. In front of him were huge doors with the same mark as on his chest. An unknown force pushed him closer and closer to these doors, as if he was being sucked in. It's not clear how, but after what happened behind that door, Tyler's body in his friend's world came to life. The eyes filled with red light, the mark on the chest glowed, and every muscle was filled with incredible strength. "Don't be stubborn. I will still achieve what I want, whether you like it or not. Therefore, if you do not want to feel my anger, you better relax," the gang leader shouted to Layla, who resisted with all her might to be used. Being enlarged by the girl, the boss of the group did not even notice that the young man they killed was already firmly on his feet. Tyler, like a ray of light, jumped up and down as they all tried to figure out what was going on. The hero, with a maniacal smile, flew up to the leader of the robbers and grabbed his head, full of immorality. In a split second, the boss was beheaded, and the girl under him, already in shock, simply froze from the whole picture. Tyler held his boss's head in his hands, enjoying his dominance. The rest of the gang were horrified, because the most important one had been destroyed. To understand how the hero acquired such power, let's return to the door that he saw in his subconscious. "Tyler, I've been waiting for you, welcome," said a huge dragon chained when the boy crossed the threshold of his lair. Seeing such a huge creature, the boy was seriously frightened. Tyler tried his best to run away from the dragon, begging him not to take his soul. But the elder black dragon explained that he was not a messenger of darkness, and the young man had not died yet. These words calmed the guy down a little, so he was ready to listen carefully and make contact with this mystical creature. The black dragon explained to Tyler that he was incredibly lucky, because he received an opportunity that comes once every 100 years. He couldn't let the young man die just like that, so he endowed him with strength, which was displayed in his red eyes. We'll come back to this a little later. And now it was necessary to defend the village. Moreover, according to the dragon elder, whoever touches the black mark will definitely give his life for it. Therefore, the robbers were doomed. Even a group attack on the hero could do little to help. A gang of these jackals decided to fight unfairly, so they attacked the boy all together. But as soon as they approached, Tyler instantly rose above them, preparing to deliver a crushing blow. The men watched in horror at the skill of this young man, and for a moment they froze, awaiting their end. The hero, with a frighteningly smiling face, was already picking up speed for a more effective strike. It landed, smashing everything around, and the shockwaves scattered the robbers like fallen leaves. And Tyler, taking advantage of their confusion, attacked with lightning speed. Everyone got it in turn, and not weakly. Having dealt with one group, the rest followed. There were a lot of them. In theory, it is simply impossible to defeat so many people alone. But with the power of the Black Dragon, our hero was capable of much. Tyler gathered the power of wind and lightning, sent this stream across the ground. This frantic energy smashed everyone in its path. Only Layla and another bandit survived, who could not believe their eyes. After all, an ordinary village boy killed an entire group of mounted robbers, whom half the continent was afraid of. The remaining bandit, fearing for his worthless life, decided to play it safe and take Layla hostage, who was already on the verge of a nervous breakdown from all today's events. Tyler saw this and watched closely. "Listen here, crazy. I admit defeat, but if you want to save this girl, then let me go. Otherwise, I can't vouch for myself," the robber shouted cowardly. "So what will you do?" The hero grinned and rushed towards the coward at breakneck speed. At that moment, the bandit's hand, with which he was holding a weapon and threatening Layla, simply flew away, as if it had never been there. "God, my hand, my precious hand!" the man shouted with horror in his eyes. The girl, taking the opportunity, escaped from the clutches of this monster who took her hostage. While the robber screamed in pain, Tyler grabbed him and lifted him with one hand, holding him by the head. "Forgive me, I will change and take the righteous path." The bandit, no longer so brave, begged for mercy. But all in vain, his worthless life ended in the hands of a guy. He got what he deserved. Layla was a witness to everything. In the darkness of the night, she saw that all the horror that she had to endure was finally over, because the last mounted robber had fallen. Tyler, watching the fruits of his extreme power, laughed, because he had never been so powerful. Everything was as Elder Dragon said. The people who touched the mark brought the punishment. Returning to the meeting with the Black Dragon, the hero asked him about the details of the chance that comes once every 100 years. But the elder asked the young man not to rush, because he would find out everything over time. "I want to ask you one piquant question, my boy," the dragon said quietly and mysteriously. Tyler tensed, but still continued to listen carefully. "Do you want to have a son, the fruit of love and solitude with beautiful women?" asked the dragon, conjuring up in the young man's imagination the images of beautiful women with whom he could realize all this. The hero became very embarrassed by such topics, and from the expression on his face, it became clear that the guy was not at ease. The dragon thought that the boy had not heard the question, so he suggested repeating it. But Tyler stopped him, citing the fact that he was not going to discuss such issues with him. "Ha! Hypocritical naughty fellow, don't pretend to be righteous. I know what you were doing in the cave, so don't be shy," said the elder. The young man did not expect that he was being spied on, so he was indignant and asked not to slander him. Suddenly, the guy began to move against his will closer and closer to the Black Dragon. This began to scare him. Not only does this creature collect dirt on him and ask uncomfortable questions, but he also controls his body. "What's happening?" asked the hero. He felt uneasy about all this. "Do you really think that if I wanted to hurt you, you would save yourself with your fists?" the elder asked with a grin as Tyler stood up. The dragon explained that they had very little time left, so they needed to remember all his words. He suggested postponing the answer to his question until a safer time. The powerful elder touched his huge claw to the hero's forehead to convey something very important. A black dragon with red eyes told the boy that the mark on his chest was an ancient curse that a powerful cultivator had placed on their family. Since Tyler managed to wake him up, it meant that a key had been found that could lift the curse. But this would only be possible with a cultivator of the opposite sex, whose power he could absorb. The elder put this information into the hero's mind, applying his own energy. He also said that even though the mark has now disappeared, it will still appear soon, and a new countdown to death will begin. The dragon gave Tyler his last strength and asked him to direct it in the right direction. He warned that if a guy wants to live, then he needs to use his power as soon as possible and be sure to join the ranks of cultivators, and then become stronger and have new women until he can reach the top in the realm of immortality. After these valuable installations, the hero opened his eyes already in bed. "Black Dragon, stop! I need more information!" the young man shouted, jumping out of bed. But as in the case of the cave, he was again completely alone in the room. In the background, only a candle crackled, which was already burning out. Tyler couldn't understand what was going on here. A moment earlier, he spoke with a powerful ancient creature, and now he lies in a god-forsaken village. Is it really a dream again? He was distracted from these thoughts by a note he found handy on the bed. There was a letter for him personally from Layla, who wanted to explain what happened and why he was in this house. The girl wrote that when he reads this, most likely all the villagers will be far away. After all, after the guy destroyed the mounted robbers, he immediately fell into a coma. Since Layla was unable to wake him up, she dragged the guy to the nearest house so that it would be more comfortable for him to come to his senses. She thanked Tyler in a letter for saving the lives of many village residents, including her. But because of the fear of revenge from the robbers, who could return to the village again, everyone decided to flee. Layla failed to convince people to take the young man. They were afraid that they would be persecuted because of this. "I hope everything goes well for you. We are very grateful to you." This is the last thing Layla said in the letter. Having finished reading all this, Tyler decided to go outside, where the scorching sun illuminated the consequences of his sudden strength. The young man could not believe that he himself had dealt with all these people. After all his life he had always been afraid of something and was weak. While he was thinking about this, a download occurred in his head, as if a program code had been downloaded into his brain. Suddenly, signs with a hint appeared above every living and non-living object, which showed the status and power of the object. Tyler had never seen anything like this before. He wasn't even as scared by the bodies of dead people as he was by these signs. The guy couldn't understand whether they were joking on him or whether he was hallucinating. Everything looked unusual and new. A system window immediately popped up with its full characteristics. His name, the presence of the curse, the level of chi at the first level. Even the lack of techniques and abilities were indicated. The image of a dragon and his words about the perfection of chi appeared in his head, but the hero had no idea how to do it. He accused the elder of some strange spell. While the guy was indignant, the system loaded the countdown to death. It said that he had 60 days to complete paired cultivation. The information on the system window has changed. Now a task for a beginner was indicated, which required defeating the bloody wolf. There was also an explanation that the large number of corpses attracted the blood wolf, and Tyler's appearance disturbed his sleep, so he needed to get rid of the predator so as not to become his dinner. The reward for completing this is a resolution after injuries, activation of the hiking backpack, and access to the next stages. The hero was indignant. There had never been such a beast in this wilderness before. But before he had time to say this bloody wolf howled at the top of the rock. Tyler turned around and actually saw the one he should kill. The animal was not small and very aggressive, so it became scary. The predator noticed the young man, so he immediately rushed from the cliff to him, because he saw in him a delicious piece of meat that needed to be caught. He bent down with such force that the shockwave destroyed half the village. But the landing was very precise. He was literally in front of Tyler's face, which already smelled of fear. The system provided the characteristics of the beast. It was a blood wolf in search of food, a rare animal of the second level of chi, and also a leader, the king of wolves. Our hero read all this with horror, realizing who he would have to deal with. He didn't like this task, so he ran as fast as he could in order to live at least a little longer. But the system notified that the task must be completed as soon as possible. Otherwise, it will not be possible to survive. Having overcome his fear, Tyler decided to fight the predator. Information has emerged that the wolf is in an unstable state due to hunger, so its speed has decreased, and there is only 1 minute left until the end of the task. The realization has come that action needs to be taken immediately. The wolf stopped for a more precise jump to grab the victim. With its graceful and large body, the beast tried to attack the guy, because for him it is food. The wolf missed, but his jump caused the hero to skid a little. The bloody leather man, without wasting time, tried to grab the young man with his fangs, but he managed to dodge. The predator was not going to retreat so easily, so he directed his energy to crush Tyler. The guy managed to jump in time and avoid this blow. Due to the fact that the boy jumped, the shockwave rushed further, demolishing trees in its path. It was somehow not very noticeable that the wolf had lost speed. On the contrary, it seemed that he had become more ferocious. The system warned that there were 15 seconds left before the end of the task. Tyler understood that if he continued to run, sooner or later he would get caught, so he needed to act. He stopped running, turned to face the enemy, and decided to try his luck. Meanwhile, there were already 10 seconds left. The young man took his knife in his teeth and decided not to be afraid anymore, even if he couldn't win. The timer showed 7 seconds left. The hero decisively began to do something in order to no longer be in the position of a victim, but to move into the position of a hunter. When there were 5 seconds left, the young man grabbed the vine in front of his eyes. He twisted around the branch for a more effective blow. The wolf watched. There were already 3 seconds left. Tyler let go of the vine, gained the appropriate swing, and concentrated. In the display of the beast's eyes, one could see how an evil guy was rushing towards him, who was no longer food, but a threat. When there was already 1 second left on the timer, the hero plunged his knife into the bloody wolf's eye. Tyler was glad he could do it. He was sure that was all. But no, the wolf went crazy from pain and began to behave inappropriately. The wounded predator fought against every tree to remove the hero. When the animal realized that it was not working out, it began to run, not understanding where. The pain clouded its mind. There was a large cliff ahead, but the wolf ran straight towards it. Tyler screamed, trying to stop the animal, but in vain. He had already jumped off and was flying down with him. The system window made it known that the task was successfully completed. Tyler, as a reward, was completely cured of his injuries and has access to the item panel. Everything in the forest became quiet for a moment. The bustle and struggle for life stopped. This silence was broken by the tramp of the huge paws of a mysterious creature, which was clearly heading towards our hero. It was a large spider and its owner who were targeting a rare dead animal. The beautiful woman was the owner of the spider. Her staff and stern gaze made it clear that she was very strong. The system created a new task for the hero. He had to join the Qingyu clan. Tyler, exhausted after such a fight, crawled out from under the beast. He thought he was going to smash himself into pieces, but luckily, he landed on this wolf. Suddenly, the system gave a hint that there was a demon pill in the head of this rare animal. The guy decided to check. To do this, he stuck his hand deeper into the wolf's head, and he really got hold of this rare and valuable attribute. He was not the only one who admired the demonic tablet. The spider and its owner were also interested in it. The hero, noticing such a large spider, screamed and, out of emotion, threw the demon pill. But the powerful woman took advantage of this and deftly caught her. She asked not to be afraid of her pet, because despite its size, the spider is completely harmless until you give it the command to attack. Tyler, frightened, asked who she was and what she needed. "My name is Amanda. I am the 8th master of the Qingyu sect in the medicine department." Coming closer, the woman introduced herself. Amanda suggested that the hero voluntarily give up the demon tablet, because then she would spare him, and even give him the opportunity to join the clan group. The cultivator's self-confident tone angered Tyler a little. He was shocked that she would so brazenly snatch a valuable item from him. "It was with great difficulty that I got my hands on the pill. This wolf was not so easy to kill, so please return her to me." The guy was indignant, defending his boundaries. Hearing this, the woman with a cold gaze pointed her staff to the side and fired a shot of energy to demonstrate her superiority and persuade the boy to make concessions to her. Her blow left a sizable hole in the clearing, which spoke volumes. Amanda calmly asked Tyler if he had changed his mind. "Do you really want to risk refusing me?" The woman smiled sweetly. The system could not show all its characteristics, since according to the rules, it could only display the level of a person who did not exceed the hero's level by more than 2 steps. Tyler realized that trying to object to her would not work, so he turned to flattery. He said that he wanted to personally hand over the pill to such a powerful cultivator. Since she is a woman, the system returned information about her to show how compatible they were in pair cultivation. It was said that she was the 8th level master of the Qingyu clan medical department, a female pharmacist, obsessed with purifying demons. After dual cultivation with her, you can gain a lot of spiritual power. The scale of their relationship was also indicated. Success will be if the relationship reaches 90%, but so far, it is at 0. Amanda was glad that she had achieved her goal, and gave the command to the spider to go home. The hero, meanwhile, was thinking about the plan of action, because he was not able to attack a woman, so he could only reconcile himself. On the way to the sect, the woman said that Tyler could easily pass the first level of Qi training without any special skills, because she saw potential in him. She also promised in exchange for the tablet a lot of money, and the opportunity to join the Qingyu clan. The hero caught her on this, because earlier she promised to make him a student of the sect. But Amanda replied that he was at too low a level for a student. At that moment, Tyler realized that he had been treated like a child. The guy was as indignant as he could. He demanded to let him go if they didn't want to teach him. But the woman pharmacist only laughed in response, because it was too late to run. The system warned the hero that the task of joining the Qingyu clan was mandatory. The reward will be in your inventory. The clan's territory was already visible on the horizon. Everything was dazzlingly beautiful and elegant. The guards, not foreshadowing trouble, were calmly on duty. When suddenly a spider appeared along with its mistress. This woman definitely doesn't know how to drive, so the spider parked very chaotically. Even the guards couldn't resist. Amanda joyfully greeted the guys on duty. Tyler felt sick from such a ride, and the guards, lying on the ground, congratulated the hostess on her return. Only she appeared so impressively, it was difficult to get used to this. One of the guys reported that the deputy asked her to immediately go to the Lingbao Hall upon her return, because an item that the female pharmacist had been looking for very diligently had been found. Amanda was very happy about this news, because she assumed that these were the remains of Yunheidan. Citing urgent matters, the woman kicked Tyler off the spider. She instructed everyone else to report to the medical department to provide a report. "What are you doing? Did you decide to kill me?" The hero was indignant, who was mercilessly deceived and thrown to the ground. The guards felt sorry for the boy, so they extended a helping hand to him. The guys welcomed Tyler to the Qingyu clan and asked him to quickly get up from the cold ground so as not to catch a cold. Nosha was touched by such a sweet treatment. It gave me hope that there are still good people in the world. They kindly showed in which direction the medical department was located, since they had no right to provide information personally. They had to guard the gate. Tyler thanked them for their kindness anyway, and left. The guards discussed among themselves that this young man was too young for the medical department. But they guessed that Amanda had simply deceived him. Looking at the vast territory of the clan, The hero was shocked that he would need to plow here for the rest of his life. He suddenly heard some rustling in the bushes, which attracted his attention. The guy saw the shadow and considered it his duty to come up and greet the man from the medical department. "Hello, I'm new!" Without a second thought, Tyler burst into the bushes, not knowing how this would turn out. The girl in the bushes was busy with biological needs. She clearly had no time for new acquaintances. Coming closer, the hero realized what an awkward situation he was in. But the longer he stared at her, the angrier she became. "I've heard for a long time that there is a pervert near the medical department who stalks girls like a shadow. Here you are," shouted the hero's new acquaintance. The system revealed her characteristics. It was Aurora, an 8th-level chi cultivator, and she seemed to be furious. Tyler tried to explain that it was all a misunderstanding. The system warned the hero that he was in extreme danger because the girl was beside herself with anger. Tyler realized the gravity of the situation and started to run, but Aurora wasn't nervous to just let him go. The girl threw a needle with anesthesia at the guy. The system insisted that after it could paralyze the whole body, but the beauty was very accurate, so the needle still fulfilled its mission. The hero fell, and Aurora pressed his face into the ground, eliminating the possibility of escape. The girl was sure that she saved all the girls from the pervert. She did not even listen to the young man's excuses. She reacted very sharply to his every word, beating the innocent boy. As soon as she swung harder, something very powerful exploded behind her. The explosion took place in the medical department. Everyone was fussing and looking for her in order to report the incident, while Aurora, in bewilderment, tried to understand what happened in her department. Tyler was able to catch his breath from the beating. Despite the affairs, she did not leave the hero, but dragged him along with her, promising to deal with him immediately after solving some problems. The nurses from the medical department were very alarmed. They dealt with the consequences of the explosion, trying to save at least something. Choking smoke and burns were inevitable accompaniments of the explosion. Aurora quickly arrived at the scene of the fire and asked what led to it. The sisters asked her to report to the manager that the 3rd alchemical furnace had exploded and something urgently needed to be done. The girl listened to the sisters and exhaled heavily. The stoves were very important for their work, so they really need to influence their serviceability. Suddenly, the girls noticed the boy at Aurora's feet and asked who it was. With a sense of accomplishment, she said that she had caught a voyeur who had been spying on the girls for several months. The sisters, looking at him, were already choosing a method of punishment. Someone wanted to beat him to death, and someone wanted to burn him in an alchemical furnace. Such conversations made Tyler feel bad. While they looked at him with contempt, the hero tried to prove that Amanda herself had sent him here, and that he was not a pervert at all. Aurora denied his words, because there had been no men in the medical department for more than 200 years, so the mistress could not do that. Accusing the young man of lying, she came up with a more elegant way to punish him. The girl ordered her sisters to drag him into the forbidden room so that the mistress herself would deal with him upon her return. Tyler struggled and begged for salvation, but these women were very cruel and principled. He was haunted by the system with its own timer. Did you need to find a mate for cultivation as quickly as possible? But who? Amanda could turn to ashes at the slightest mistake. It's like a bad dream, which every second reduced the number of days until death, so there are 30 days on the counter. The nurses from the medical department considered him a pervert and did not consider him a human being. The countdown to death flashed, showing fewer and fewer days until death. Now it was already 20 days. Aurora generally wanted to deprive him of his manhood. The countdown showed 10 days. He no longer knew which gods to pray to so that these girls would agree to at least one pair cultivation. This counter was driving him crazy. Tyler was very worried that if he couldn't find a partner, the curse would take his life. When the countdown reached 0, the hero woke up in a cold sweat. It was just a dream, but the topic was really important. And dreams are reflections of our experiences. The guy decided with horror to check the exact number of days given to him. The system immediately provided the necessary information. Pair cultivation should be completed within 59 days. There was an additional reminder to find a person with a similar base and only then make contact. Tyler knew this without being reminded, but among such strong students it is difficult to find a girl of the first level of Qi. So it was necessary to raise your level, and urgently. He remembered that for completing a beginner's task, the system issued a reward that was in the inventory. The reward was the spiritual instructions of the Black Dragon, a book on cultivation of heavenly rank Qi. Tyler clicked on it, and it immediately materialized from the system into the real world. The hero did not expect such a miracle of technology, because he had no idea that such a thing could even exist. The book immediately went into his hands and he watched with admiration. It's time for perfection, because the dragon used the system to increase Tyler's powers. Now the young man had no choice but to justify his trust and efforts. But when he opened the first page, he realized that chi cultivation was only available at the second level. The guy with his first level felt like a failure. The hero was very angry. Considering this a dishonest move, he threw the book away out of emotion. Why give me a book when I've just started? They decided to deceive me? The young man was indignant. Having suppressed the aggression, Tyler began to think about a logical solution to the problem. After all, there were only 59 days left before the curse was launched, and there were almost no ideas on how to improve one's strength. In addition, he is locked up and it is not known when he will be released. Turning his head, the guy noticed a system alert about books on the shelf. These were basic medical skills, skills that could be acquired after reading. The hero did not even imagine that such valuable knowledge would be stored in this room. He took one book for reference. At first glance, medicine and the perfection of strength were on different levels. But what if you think better? And so the puzzle came together in Tyler's head. He realized that any skill can be improved, including medicine. In addition, the drugs may be useful for pair cultivation, but only as a last resort if a willing partner cannot be found. The young man remembered Felicia, the strong cultivator from the cave. She was clearly on something, otherwise she would never have contacted him. Tyler was a little embarrassed to resort to such methods. But if it was a matter of life and death, then it was better to be safe. The system congratulated him on finding the right solution for cultivation and the path to effective paired cultivation. To help the owner, the system enabled the automatic book reading function. The guy was very surprised by such a miracle because it allowed him to save a lot of time. A request appeared on the system window to sit comfortably in the lotus position. Cross-legged, he obediently complied with this. Knowledge poured into his mind at an unimaginable speed. In a very short time, the hero acquired the skill of primary alchemy. With every second, his skill level grew, absorbing book after book. One fine sunny day, Amanda finally returned with her cute spider. They were very tired. Apparently there was too much work to do. Aurora attacked the hostess with hugs as soon as she saw her. The woman pharmacist did not understand the reason for such a warm welcome, so she asked what was the matter. Aurora complained against her chest that they had gone through so much in her absence. She said that the sisters work very hard all day long because as many as 3 stoves burned down. Amanda listened to everything carefully and reassured the girl that they were great guys and she was proud of them. By the way, last month I caught a pervert and a thief. You must deal with him, the warden reported. The hostess was shocked by such words. She couldn't wait to figure it all out. The doors to the forbidden room swung open. Amanda and Aurora were waiting for this intruder to appear. The pink-haired beauty began to panic in fear of meeting him. It seems she has already forgotten how she thrashed him and set her sister's boyfriend on him. Someone's pale and trembling hand suddenly appeared from the gloomy room. When Tyler showed up fully, Aurora screamed at his appearance. It's not strange. He hasn't been fed for a month. How did he even manage to survive? Oh, Tyler, long time no see. I forgot about you, Amanda said guiltily. The hero, lying on the floor, cried with joy that he finally got to meet her. The woman handed him a pill that gave him strength and told him to take it first, and only then talk. Tyler jumped on this pill instantly. He slurped and thanked the master for her kindness. Aurora was sick of such a picture. Amanda asked the young man for forgiveness for everything that happened, and asked him to go to the Taoist temple first. But before she could finish speaking, Aurora intervened in the conversation. The girl was against his presence in the temple. The beauty argued that there were only girls in the temple, and he would be the only man there, and inconvenience might arise. In return, she offered him a position in the medical garden. Amanda didn't feel comfortable pushing the guy into being a gardener, but Tyler didn't mind. He bowed and said that he accepted the overseer's point of view, so he would go to work in the garden without any problems. The hostess was glad that she would not have to sort out quarrels and listen to grievances. Aurora did not appreciate the young man's obedience, because she still considered him a two-faced swindler. Tyler bowed again and thanked the master for everything. Our cutie played his role well, because the garden provides access to all the necessary plants for the potion. I didn't even have to invent anything. They sent it themselves. During his stay in the ban, the hero raised the level of elementary alchemy to the maximum. For this, the system rewarded him with the ability to identify herbs, but so far, this skill was at the first level. The system noticed that its owner relied on his own strength to perform paired cultivation. Accordingly, she issued a task that required the purchase of acacia powder, a powerful aphrodisiac, the use of which could produce unexpected results. Fatty meat was offered as a reward. Tyler read this and couldn't understand why he needed meat. Maybe the system has failed? Aurora led the guy to the fields where plants for alchemy were grown. She said that students only occasionally come here for classes or just to keep an eye on the garden. The young man pulled out one bush for inspection. The system immediately provided a complete description of this herb, its characteristics and purpose. This was convenient, but there must be some special plant identification skill that has not yet emerged. Before he had time to think about it, the system window displayed information about the quality of the plant. The one the guy held in his hand was of normal quality. Tyler looked up and saw that each plant had a quality scale, which could help him choose the best one. The hero carefully examined the entire field and saw something perfect. Without hesitation, he jumped over the fence and ran into the depths of the seedlings, causing bewilderment to the warden. Tyler found a herb of the highest quality, which guaranteed a stronger effect in the preparation of elixirs. The guy was very happy that he had discovered a true treasure, but his joy was destroyed by Aurora with a good slap on the head for not listening to her. The girl grabbed the boy's hand and dragged him along. With her finger, she showed the hero his permanent place of residence and work. Aurora also warned him that there would be restrictions on him from now on. He is strictly forbidden to leave the room or approach the plants without permission, and if he disobeys, she will incinerate him just like the plants in his hands. In 1 second, the highest quality grass turned into fertilizer. Tyler was shocked that the girl raised her hand to destroy such a valuable plant. Aurora turned around and told the hero to follow her and not lie on the ground. Tyler mentally threatened the beauty to test his acacia powder on her as revenge for what he had done. The guy crossed the threshold of his new home. In appearance, everything was very simple, nothing superfluous. A bed, a wardrobe, a tool, and a table for meals. On the table lay the uniform of the Qingyu clan, clean and ironed. Tyler looked down at his rags, which had been through a lot in such a short period of time. His clothes were torn and dirty and very old. Therefore, the young man rushed to change clothes without hesitation. The new style gave more confidence and comfort in movements. Tyler breathed a sigh of relief and sat down on the edge of the bed. He couldn't believe that he was so far from home and in such a good place. The only annoyance is the fact that his life has a timer, and the days are getting fewer and fewer. There were only 49 days left before the curse was activated. The hero thought about how to quickly help himself. Under normal circumstances, practice is required to improve, but the skills provided by the system can only be used at the second level of Qi. There was no time for this, and there was only one way out. He needed to create something using alchemy, which he had already mastered. Tyler had the skills. He just didn't have the special equipment for preparing alchemical preparations. They were in the ladies' temple, and the guy was strictly forbidden to leave the room. In connection with this, he dug himself a secret passage in half a month. The countdown to death showed 34 days. The mark on Tyler's chest was already showing. If it doesn't work out this time, then you could say goodbye to life. Having climbed into the dungeon, he did not know whether there were dead ends here. But in any case, I had to go. Suddenly, the guy heard voices nearby, which meant that he was already close to his goal. The hero lifted the heavy stone tiles of the floor with his head, looking around to get his bearings. It turned out that Tyler had broken into a sento, a women's bathhouse. The sisters splashed water in the pool and had fun. The young man did not expect to see the girls in all their glory, so out of delight he accidentally made a strange sound of admiration. Aurora heard this and immediately reacted by getting into a fighting stance. But fortunately, the hero managed to quickly hide in the dungeon and not get noticed. The sisters looked at everything around them, trying to understand whether it seemed to them or whether someone really was here. Tyler, in his hole, held his breath and waited for them to leave. Having advanced a little further, he finally reached his goal. The hall with the alchemical furnace. With a deft movement of his hand, the guy knocked out the floor slab to climb inside the hall. The young man shook out the dirt from his clothes and caught his breath a little after the journey. Without wasting time, he commanded the system to show the contents of the inventory. She listened to the owner and immediately produced the highest quality herbs, which he had collected so diligently for several days throughout the garden.
Several recipes have been suggested to improve your skills. Each had success rates and side effects.
Tyler read each recipe and decided to choose the one that suited him best. According to the system, the best medicinal plants could increase the success rate by 50%. And if his guesses were correct, then the success of each plant could be cumulative. In total, Tyler had 10 types of healing materials, all of the best quality. According to his calculations, this would equal a 50-fold increase in the probability of success and effect. He approached the stove with great hopes, hoping to achieve what he wanted. The system issued information that the preparation of Daozan tablets had begun. The likelihood of successful preparation was extremely low, and the process itself was very tedious. You need to be very careful to ensure everything goes smoothly. Each step must be controlled and followed strictly according to the system instructions. The system window said that the primary alchemical technique was completed. Tyler was shocked that this was much more tiring than even fighting the wolf. The hero knew that he followed everything exactly according to the instructions, and simply prayed with all his might that everything would work out. When the guy opened the oven lid, he saw the fruit of his efforts. Everything turned out even better than he expected. The efforts were not in vain. The light of the stove illuminated the entire room, delighting the hero with a magic pill. 2 hours later, he also managed to create excellent quality acacia powder, the action and strength of which has increased 50 times. Tyler was right. Quality has a huge impact on efficiency. But the effectiveness of this powder was too high. He was even afraid to use it. Therefore, he decided, while his life is not in danger, he hides the acacia powder in his inventory for a rainy day. And right now I needed to take my legendary improvement pill. The young man put the pill in his mouth and waited for the 50-fold effect. And it began. A moment later, his eyes filled with light, as if energy was about to pour through them. The system did not have time to congratulate Tyler on moving to new levels. Moving higher and higher, the guy felt a surge of incredible strength in every part of his body. She simply burst out from the guy with powerful streams of light. It was not easy. The hero sat down to catch his breath. He had just realized the power that people have been learning for years. Tyler was already sweating from the strength just overwhelming his body. He realized that if he used the system properly, he could increase his strength to unimaginable proportions. This added excitement to understanding all the capabilities of the system. On this day, Tyler promised himself to survive, dispel the curse, and become the strongest cultivator. The system window made it known that the hero had reached the 8th level of Qi, and therefore a new skill became available to him, namely, Divine Consciousness. Since the skill is new, it was only level 1. But his specialty was releasing his spiritual power and following the territory within a radius of 50 meters. The guy thought that 50 meters was somehow not enough, but still decided to try this force. Sitting more comfortably, he released his Divine Consciousness. This skill allowed you to ignore obstacles and explore the surrounding area. He could see the room at a glance. He noticed a man nearby. It was strange because it was deep night outside. Tyler immediately became concerned that there was someone nearby. The night promised to be interesting. The calm of the moon was disturbed by the conspirators. The mysterious man asked his girlfriend Lana about the success of their plan. The girl came closer to him and, massaging his shoulders, assured him that everything was going exactly according to plan, because only yesterday 4 stoves exploded in the lady's temple. The man heard this and passionately and strongly pressed Lana against the wall, squeezing her hands. He decided to reward the girl with his male attention, but the beauty was still concerned that the hostess would sooner or later suspect something and begin to take action. The mysterious master told her not to poke her nose into these matters. After all, half a year has passed since the ceremony to create the foundation took place, and if Amanda noticed something, she still wouldn't be able to prepare enough medicine. He was also sure that the day would come when even the deputy of the Hao clan would not be able to help Amanda. Lana looked at her partner with loving eyes and asked, after the overthrow of the mistress, to give her a good position. The man hugged her waist and, trying to get away from her request, said that he would not let her get bored. Suddenly, Master Layan sensed someone's divine consciousness. He directed an energy stream at the tree to discover who was following them. "You live at the expense of some and serve others, you vile girl. How dare you take part in a conspiracy against the mistress?" shouted Aurora, who was hiding behind that tree. She looked at these two villains with hatred and disgust, showing with all her appearance that she would not leave this just like that. Lana asked her friend to do something urgently, otherwise the warden would report everything to Amanda. "You're unlucky, little sister, to catch my eye," said Master Layan, rushing to the attack. Aurora was confident in her abilities, believing that she could deal with him even without the help of her mistress. They came together, smashing each other's techniques. Layan grabbed the girl's hand, expressing his contempt for her, because he considered the warden's chi level to be very weak. Aurora was certainly outraged by this. She was a strong cultivator, and no one had ever dared to say something like that to her. But the man showed the girl his abilities. With one blow, he threw the warden a considerable distance away. Leon said that he had been observing all the members of the medical department for a long time. Nor did he intend to be polite to her just because she was a girl. According to his logic, since she witnessed their plans, she would regret it. Aurora lay on the ground without strength. The girl despised these conspirators with all her soul. Tyler watched the whole performance. He was haunted by the fact that the ladies' temple was so noisy at such a late time. Standing outside the door, he was thinking about how to help Aurora, because she was in a very bad situation. It would not be reasonable to go out and save her, but waiting for these people to leave and reporting everything to the hostess seemed to him the best option. While the hero was thinking about all this, Lana and Leon pointed their fingers at the hall in which the guy was. Looking around, the two headed straight towards the alchemy furnace. Tyler panicked considerably. The man considered this place very suitable, because after completing his business, he could easily get rid of Aurora's body using the oven. Meanwhile, our hero was hiding, wondering why he was always so lucky to witness something strange and dangerous. The system showed an alert that the processing of acacia powder was completed. The reward in the form of fatty meat has been received. You just need to accept it. Leon mercilessly threw Aurora onto the cold marble floor. Despite her condition, the girl was still amazingly beautiful. Lana noticed that the warden has the body of a water spirit. She is the third student of the Yunzong class, and also the chosen Taoist companion of Master Nange. The man was glad that he could hit such a jackpot. He ordered his partner to stand outside and keep watch until he drained all the energy from Aurora. Lana, with a smile, asked him not to forget about their love during her pleasures. Leon delightedly inhaled Aurora's natural aroma, taking advantage of her helplessness. He had heard before that such a scent could speed up the movement of a man's blood and qi, but he didn't expect that his heart would stop completely for a while. The man enjoyed the beauty of his victim, but there was a strange feeling that something was wrong. While he was there losing his head from the warden, Tyler had already tied up his partner. Lon heard a rustling sound and turned around. The presence of another person shocked him. "Hello, Brother Leon, second level," the hero greeted in an arrogant and all-knowing tone. The man could not understand how he knew him. "As a sign of our first meeting, I want to give you the Qinghong elixir," added the young man. Qinghong is an elixir that, when ignited, purifies the mind and invigorates the soul. But you need to avoid distracting thoughts when using it, otherwise it will flow through the channels. The man was annoyed by the guy's know-it-all attitude and his tone. "Did Amanda send you? I warn you, you better not stand in my way. I am Master Seymour's student," Leon responded aggressively. Tyler, as if he were an elder himself, showed with all his appearance that the man was not worthy of knowing anything about him. But his acting skills were spoiled by Lana. She said that the guy was only at the first level of Qi and had generally been here recently. The hero was furious that his efforts to seem like a great master were so quickly mixed with dirt. Len's eyes were bloodshot from being led by the nose by an inexperienced boy. "How dare you joke with me?" The man came closer. He became furious and threatened to tear Tyler to shreds. The hero deftly dodged his blow. The man took a deep breath, and as he exhaled, directed a strong, crushing stream of energy at the guy. Tyler wriggled out of these outbursts of aggression, while hiding his capabilities. "Let your knowledge about me go with you to the afterlife," shouted Leon, who was sure that this blow would be the last for the hero. The conspirators' powerful attack swept through the hall, destroying even the centuries-old marble slab on the floor in its path. Lana sat and admired her lover and his strength. "It seems like nothing, but is that really all you can do?" Tyler asked in the soot of dust. The man was shocked, because how could a boy at the first level survive this? The young man added with a grin that such cheap tricks would definitely not destroy him. "Our boy decided to show what he is capable of." The smile left the bastard's face, and he became more serious, because now it was Tyler's turn to attack the villain. The young man concentrated his technique and struck Leon in the stomach with lightning speed. It was clear from the man's eyes that he was wrong to underestimate the boy. Tyler even got a little carried away with his new abilities, because he put his maximum into the attack. This time, not only the centuries-old marble on the floor was damaged, but also Leon, who was printed into the wall with an energy pillar. Lana could not understand what was happening. Being tied up, she would not have been able to help her partner. All that was left was to survive. The master conspirator could barely breathe after this. "It was a trap. You are not at the first level." Losing vitality, the man said. Tyler admired the power of the system, because he managed to kill someone 2 ranks higher. This was clearly beyond comprehension. The system window warned that the task was 50% complete. because he had not gotten rid of all the people who wished him dead. Tyler turned around and realized that the system meant to get rid of Lana. The girl read in his eyes that he was the next victim. He forced me to serve him, honestly. This is not my fault. From now on, I will be devoted only to you. The vile sister tried to escape. Tyler came very close to her and silently swung his hand. Lana closed her eyes and continued to beg for mercy, trusting in her brother's conscience. The hero did something, but the girl was fine. He did not harm her, but only freed her hands. Tyler reached into his pocket and suggested the following development to his sister. The guy took out a bottle and threw it into her hands, asking her to drink the contents. Lana read on the label that it was acacia powder. Out of stupidity, she did not delve into what it was. She was simply determined to kill the young man at the most unexpected moment. The girl opened the bottle and drank it all to the bottom, not even knowing what this would lead to. Lana easily drank the powder, which had 50% effectiveness, and ran to the hero praising his mercy. She stroked his chest and flattered him, trying to lower Tyler's guard. The girl grabbed the guy in her arms, thinking that she was playing this game, and took out a knife to stab him straight in the back. Lana was confident that right now she would take revenge for her lover. But Tyler saw everything and just waited for her to show herself. As soon as this happened, the guy dealt her a strong blow, which pushed the vile sister away. The sister felt what pain was. She made the same mistake as her partner. She underestimated Tyler. Our hero knew very well that this girl would not calm down just like that. "Did you really think that I would fall for your lying words and pretty eyes?" the guy asked. He was 100% pleased with himself. "What's wrong with my eyes?" Lana asked, upset. No one had ever told her this before. For years, she managed to fool guys for her insidious purposes, and then suddenly there was such resistance. Tyler was already tired of this tomfoolery. He told her everything he thought. After all, he even gave her a chance to improve. But now she will be doomed to death, and the guy doesn't even need to do anything for this. Lana tried to understand what he meant. With a grin, he took the bottle that the girl had emptied and said that this is acacia powder of the highest quality. Soon she will feel all its delights on herself. After all, this elixir must be neutralized in time, otherwise death from lust will occur. As soon as the hero said this, the sister began to feel the effect of the elixir in every part of her body.
"You are cruel, man. You have no heart." Lana screamed through pain and pleasure.
Tyler thought everything was fair. She deserved to die like this. After all, what you lived for is what you got. The girl admitted defeat and prayed for salvation. But Tyler didn't even look in her direction. He just waited for it to end. "I beg you, save!" Lana shouted when she was already on the verge of death. The hero didn't even have time to move far before the vile sister had already left this world. Yes, the night turned out to be difficult, how much this moon hides. Tyler carefully destroyed traces of his work in the furnace. It took a lot of time, so he was tired. The system congratulated him on completing the task. This cheered the hero up, and he was looking forward to his reward. The system window said that the reward was near Tyler. He turned around and looked around to find it, but only Aurora lay nearby. Looks like this was the reward. This is not strange. Her beautiful body could not help but fascinate. Every curve of the body beckoned. Although the hero was angry with her, pair cultivation with a passed-out person was already too much. But the temptation was great. The system itself pushes me to do it. Rumors spread very quickly, even reaching the Cloudsword Pavilion. An important man walked along the terrace, wanting to report everything to his superiors. It so happened that the authorities at that time were involved in passion because sounds of pleasure were heard from the chambers. The excellent beauty was in the master's box, not suspecting what awaited her. Deputy Sectmaster Chinyu Seymour absorbed the girl's chi through pleasure. But the door to his room opened, and a man appeared, who was clearly worried about something and wanted to report it. Seymour said that he was busy right now and asked if this question could wait a little. But the master of the Cloudsword Pavilion, Ramil, insisted that the matter was urgent. He reported that Len's younger brother's soul jade had just cracked. This disciple was afraid that Amanda's actions could ruin the master's plans. This is why everything should be discussed immediately. Hearing this, Seymour accelerated the process of absorbing the girl's chi, which made her feel pain. The deputy sectmaster was indignant, because if Amanda had done this, she would have left Len alive for evidence. Rommel said that judging by all the other students of the medical department, their strength is not enough to cope with their younger brother, Leon. Seymour assumed that other forces had infiltrated the medical department, but despite this it was too late. He was sure that no one would be able to stop him from carrying out his plan. The deputy sectmaster took the chipped soul stone in his hands and ordered Ramil to arrange a meeting with the pavilion master. Something very serious was brewing. The man bowed and accepted the order. In an instant, he was no longer in the room. Looking at his reflection in the jade of the soul, Seymour caught himself thinking that he desperately wanted to find out who did this to Leon. While he was lost in his thoughts, the girl he was using fell off his bed. Because of his affairs, the man completely forgot about her. All that was left of that beautiful maiden were the relics that were scary to look at. Seymour swung the soul jade near her forehead. The girl waited with fear in her eyes for his next actions. Suddenly, the sect deputy's eyes became bloodshot and a very strange, evil smile appeared. He threw the soul jade at her head with all his might, leaving no chance for life. It was extremely cruel, but it seems he is not capable of better. The medical garden was bathed in sunlight. Everything was brilliantly well-groomed and pleasing to the eye. Inside our hero's house, the knowledge of the Elder Dragon was absorbed. Tyler diligently sought to comprehend all the wisdom of the Black Dragon in order to justify his trust and entrusted capabilities. After absorbing the knowledge, his eyes became the same red color as the Elder's. The system reported that the cultivation of the primordial Chaos Dragon method in the Chi refinement chapter was completed. This unlocked the ability of the Dragon Transformation art. Although transformation was available, the following skills still had to be obtained by improving yourself. For now, they were blocked. Tyler was pleased with himself. He finally managed to comprehend something new. The first-level Dragon Transformation allowed a small amount of Black Dragon power to be used during an attack. The muscles and bones are strengthened, and the defense power is increased by 25%. The higher the level of a given skill, the more options are available. This name sounded very arrogant and impressive. The hero appreciated it. Despite the joys of acquiring new powers, there was still a counter to death. There were already 7 days and 8 hours left until the end of the paired cultivation. The system warned that this must be done within a deadline. Tyler didn't expect that he had so little time left. He was so carried away by improvement that he completely forgot about the curse. He had the opportunity to perform dual cultivation, but he did not take advantage of it. It seems that you want to live, but you also don't want to behave like an inseminating bull. Half a month ago, when Aurora was unconscious, the system suggested performing pair cultivation. Tyler understood that this was the only way to survive, but still, something stopped him. The beauty's body certainly beckoned. Even the most persistent monk could not stand it, but the hero could not. His conscience did not allow him to act so basely. Besides, she is injured and needs help. The guy took out a small means of restoring legendary quality. This potion was supposed to help her. Tyler began to feed Aurora the potion, at which point she suddenly began to come to her senses. Out of excitement, the guy already spilled the contents of the bottle, but even the smell of spilled broth could help a person heal. The hero panicked, because if the girl saw him, then his identity would immediately be revealed and problems would begin. He tried to hide in his dungeon as quickly as possible, until the beauty finally came to her senses. But for some reason, the system issued an alert that Aurora's favor had increased by 20 points, and she had become an option for paired cultivation. This meant that she had noticed him after all. Such assumptions made her blood run cold. As soon as he thought about it, they started knocking on the door and calling for him. Aurora stood on his threshold and demanded to open the door. The hero did not know where to go. He was afraid for his future. But what to do? I had to let him in. Tyler invited her to the table, made tea, and asked about the purpose of her visit. Aurora looked at the boy with displeasure, clearly suspecting something. The hero asked her not to look so closely, because he was embarrassed. The girl herself could not understand why she suspected him of saving her. It's just that on that day, when she regained consciousness, she saw the man who saved her. And although she only saw his back, he looked as much like Tyler as possible. Tell me honestly, were you one of those who broke into the medical pavilion? The warden decided to ask directly. The hero was nervous, because she already suspected him, and if he was revealed, it would bring a lot of problems. But the ground floor for cultivation was also very much needed. Tyler felt stuck and didn't even know what to say. I had to lie. The guy said that because of her strict ban on approaching the medical pavilion, he simply would not have the courage to do such a thing. These words inspired Aurora's confidence for a moment, because the virtue who saved her must be a very strong cultivator, because he managed to slam Len into the wall and cure the girl's severe wounds. But suddenly she suspected that the young man might be hiding his abilities. An awkward silence hung between them. Tyler was afraid that the girl did not believe his words, and she, in turn, decided to check everything. Aurora looked closely into his eyes, and asking for forgiveness, she rushed to attack the guy to check. On the way to the truth, the girl stepped on a tile that hid a secret passage. Aurora tripped and flew straight towards Tyler. At that moment he realized that he had forgotten to bury his secret passage, hidden under the tiles. The girl and the boy fell, knocking over the table. The pose was certainly interesting, but the hero had to not give in to temptations, but get up quickly, because Aurora was already starting to get angry. The warden screamed throughout the garden that she would kill the boy. Apparently she said this seriously. The sect's disciples gathered in the main hall of the medical pavilion. Tyler asked the girl why she beat him and dragged him here. Aurora told him not to ask stupid questions, because today was the main meeting of the medical pavilion and all students must attend it. Together with the owner Amanda, Ramil, the master of the Cloud Sword Pavilion, sat at the head of the hall. He was outraged that the sect raised a bunch of useless people, alluding to the woman pharmacist and her students. Ramil was so insolent because a conference on creating a fund would soon be held, and the medical department still had not prepared a sufficient number of tablets. And today he wanted to decide whether Amanda deserved to remain in her position. This was an obvious provocation, and one that had been planned for a long time. Until yesterday, you didn't care about the medical department, but today problems suddenly appeared. Don't you find this suspicious? Did old Seymour inspire you to do this? Does he have dementia? Amanda was indignant because she was not going to tolerate such treatment. Ramil pretended that he did not understand what she was talking about. Amanda decided to show it clearly. She said that the earth spirit leaves were collected by a certain Master Chan. In appearance, these leaves are the same as the others, but they are not the same at all. The quality is disgusting, and the most interesting thing is that this trader belongs to a secular family, being in the city of Luyu, which is under the control of Seymour, is a very interesting coincidence. The students of the medical department immediately understood everything. It became clear why it was impossible to make the pills, and that Ramil was clearly setting up a setup for Amanda. Poor quality leaves seem to be a trifle, but they greatly affect the creation of medicines and the preparation time. The Qingyu clan has one leader and 2 deputies. Since the leader is constantly cultivating, all matters are entrusted to 2 deputies. This also leads to the formation of 2 factions within the clan, which are controlled by deputies. Tyler was able to reliably test the quality of the plants using the system, and it really was a terrible quality. The chances of purification and good properties of the drugs were even in the minus. Ordinary cultivators are not able to see such precise characteristics, so the problem was not noticed for a long time. But Ramil got rid of the suspect in advance, and with a grin asked Amanda about his location. After all, if she can't provide evidence, then it's funny. The female pharmacist and Aurora examined every corner, but they could not find any significant evidence, only remnants of the fabric of someone's clothing. Amanda noticed that someone had done a good job of eliminating the evidence. Well, if there is no evidence, then I will consider it a bad sense of humor, the Cloud Sword Pavilion Master said as he stood up from his chair. Rommel informed everyone that Deputy Seymour convinced the clan leader to open the secret abode of the Forest of Daggers. After all, only grass without roots in the secret abode can replace the missing tablets. He also said that due to the restrictions of the secret monastery, only cultivators who specialize in building foundations and refining qi can enter there. They will take 1 student from each pavilion, but since this is the fault of the medical department, they will take 2 from here. Amanda was outraged by such statements and seriously angry. She jumped out of her chair. Don't you know that among the disciples of the medical department, there are no foundation building and qi refining cultivators at all? They won't have a chance to survive there. You are sending them to certain death, the female pharmacist shouted, trying to protect her students. But such speeches had no effect on Ramil. He had his own secret plan and he stuck to it, but he didn't care about his students. Amanda, the incompetence of the medical department is holding back my 17 students. The fact that I am not taking all of yours is already a gesture of goodwill, as a sign of our friendship, said the master of the Cloud Sword Pavilion, clearly trying to offend the woman. The owner of the medical department was already furious. These 2 masters literally glared at each other. A little more, and she would fight. This intensity of emotions was softened by Aurora, who volunteered to go to the secret monastery. The girl said that she felt it was her duty to find and punish the traitor to the medical department. After all, this pavilion is her home. She couldn't just stand aside. Ramil grinned, because this was what he was waiting for. Aurora reassured the hostess, saying that she was already close to building the foundation and everything would be fine. But Tyler understood that her 8th level of qi was not even close to building a foundation. At that moment, the system warned him that if something was not done, he would lose a potential cultivation partner and his favor points would be reset to 0. It was obvious that something would happen in the secret abode. Aurora was his only hope for survival. He couldn't let it end like this. Rommel repeated that another student was needed, as if provoking Amanda more and more. "I'd like to go," the hero said quietly and uncertainly. He referred to the fact that he was also a student of the medical department. Everyone around did not expect such courage from the guy, so they scanned him from top to bottom with surprised eyes. The mission was open, the reward for it was unknown, and the countdown showed 6 days, 23 hours, and 59 minutes. And then the day came for the disciples to gather in the forbidden land of the Cloud Path. Tyler was in a hurry to absorb new knowledge by reading a book, but Aurora was sure that there was no time for this. After all, the cloudy and windy palm method has a large number of mysteries, and requires 3 to 5 years to master, provided there is a good cultivation base. But the hero got out of it. He said that he just wanted to read about the secret technique, and not to master it. It's good that no one knows about the global assistance system. Thanks to her, in a couple of blowjobs, Tyler learned the Qingyu palm cultivation technique of the highest rank and maximum level. This made it possible to increase one's attack power by concentrating spiritual power in the palm. The hero guessed that all exercises assessed by the system as low level could be automatically cultivated. This was also true in relation to the new technique. So, this is the entrance to the secret abode. 3 days have passed since the last death warning appeared. Tyler has a chance to do this only in the secret monastery. Now he has enough strength, but if something doesn't go according to plan, he can take a pill. Suddenly something very much attracted his attention. He decided to climb higher and look around. For this, the guy chose a hill in the center and jumped out onto it. Aurora below shouted that he couldn't just break discipline in this place, but he was very carried away by what he saw. So he didn't react. The pattern of the secret monastery was painfully familiar to him, as if it had been with him all his life. The girl reached the hero and grabbed him by the ear, because the place where he climbed is a teleport that takes people to a random place. And if he himself were in danger, it would end badly for him. While the two were discussing safety rules among themselves, the elite disciples of the Qingyu clan appeared. Like 3 comets, students who were the pride of their masters rushed to the entrance to the secret monastery. Ethan was a handsome, red-haired 5th-grade foundation builder. Nange is the long-haired leader of the 7th stage of foundation building, and the incomparable Mira of the 5th stage of foundation construction. The girls immediately ran to greet the trio. When Tyler saw this, he asked Aurora about them. She revealed that they were the most outstanding of the younger generation of the Qingyu sect. Although they are from different pavilions, their successes are approximately equally impressive. Aurora also added that the one with the long hair was from the Yunzun pavilion, and that it was also her fiancé. Nanga was distracted from showing off in public when he saw Aurora. He immediately ran to greet her. "I heard that the medical department sent a whipping boy here. Please don't let him drag you down and join me," said Aurora's fiancé, hinting at Tyler's incompetence. The girl was indignant, because their engagement was not a reason to insult the student from her pavilion. Nange offered to protect her little defenseless friend so that Aurora would not be nervous. But then his tone changed abruptly. He ordered Tyler to leave this place, and shamed his fiancée for choosing a future corpse as a partner. Our hero has already begun to freak out because of such an annoying attitude. "Are you blind? She doesn't want to talk to you. We actually in the medical department take care of each other ourselves, without any intermediaries." Tyler provocatively hugged Aurora, not intending to share her with someone. Nange simply glowed with hatred from such guy's words and actions. He was ready to tear him apart. Mira paid attention to this, because no one had dared to provoke Nange's elder brother before. Ethan also enjoyed his friend's funny expression when he was angry. Aurora immediately caught the hero in his expression of friendly concern. Even though she was angry, it was cute. Elder brother Nan was already threatening to snatch the young man's dirty hands, with which he dared to touch Aurora. This situation was saved by the appearance of the heads of the sect, who were transported to the students in the teleport. The head of the Qingyu sect, Master Lao, and his deputy Seymour came out of the teleport. The disciples immediately rushed to bow and greet the sect leader, but Master Lao asked them not to bother, because today's task was very difficult, and he was grateful to them for taking such a risk for the sake of the sect. He also said that students who return intact will receive a reward for each rootless grass in the form of 1 low-level spirit stone. When everyone thanked the master, Tyler asked in bewilderment if this old man was really the head of the sect. Aurora told him to remain silent so as not to get into trouble, and Nange was furious as he watched them talk again. Master Lao read a spell and summoned the portal activation technique. Using the fingers of one hand, He pointed it at the teleporter, making it glow, and as soon as the head of the sect ordered the portals to open, they all began to shine in a circle and become active. The hero stood in bewilderment and did not understand what was happening. Aurora took his hand and explained that the portal to the secret abode had been activated, and now they needed to stick together for safety. At that moment, Manga forcibly dragged Aurora towards him. When Tyler noticed this, he immediately rushed to catch up with his last hope for life, but ended up next to his sister Mira. The portal instantly transferred all the students in a random order. Whoever was next to whom would be with that. Our hero, coming to his senses, felt something soft and diligently tried to whine what it was. And since he is always lucky to have adventures, it was Mira's breast, who herself was shocked by such a picture. With a precise hit of her knee on the guy's manhood, the girl made it clear that it was better not to do that. While Tyler was writhing in pain, the older sister warned that if this happened again, she would not break, but tear out all his jewelry below the belt. Mira had heard a lot about this place. According to rumors, it was the first floor of a secret monastery, but no one had been here before, so one could expect anything. Tyler didn't understand anything from her words, so he once again clarified where they were. The system pulled up and issued a notification that this was a unique mission called Shards of Memories. The mission was activated and required you to go through the Corridor of Nightmares. Everything here was very unusual. The stairs and smooth floor caught my eye, because there is nothing like this in the hero's world. The door was also not what the guy was used to seeing. He even considered it ugliness. But Mira found the door design very interesting and even beautiful. It is clear that men have a hard time learning something new. Tyler suggested that the core of this place might be behind one of these doors. The first one on their way was locked, and a monster was already wandering behind. The monster was wearing a robe, and a sharp, unpleasant sound came from under it. Mira and Tyler responded to him immediately. Our hero had never seen this before, so he asked his older sister what it was. She, using her own strength, told the guy to stay away, because this is the monster of the secret abode. As soon as the monster noticed the strangers, he rushed from the top of the stairs towards them. Despite the danger, Mira behaved confidently and reservedly. The girl waited until the monster was very close and took out her sword. Using a cut of green shadow, the elder sister cut the monster into pieces. Tyler just stood there and watched as this skeleton in a robe fell apart. But can it really be that simple? Mira told the young man not to leave her side for his own safety. After all, she was convinced that with his first level of chi, it was impossible to stand up for himself. The girl also said that the monsters on the first floor were at least level 4, so she had no doubt that Tyler would not be able to cope with them. While she was saying all this, the possessed wanderer, which she cut down, began to gather in a heap because its core was not touched. The system showed that this monster is at the 3rd level of building the foundations of chi. The skull of this skeleton, which Mira was holding under her foot, suddenly began to glow green and was clearly ready to do something unpredictable. The hero asked his sister to be careful as soon as he noticed this. The skull burst out from under her feet, knocking the girl over, taking her by surprise. The monster picked up the missing part of its equipment and continued to make strange sounds. Mira couldn't believe that she was so careless about the task, because she was sure that her technique would kill the monster. But now this possessor grabbed the girl's leg, trying to control her. The wanderer lifted the girl up in one movement, not giving her a chance to escape. The system activated the 1st-level dragon transformation for the owner. Tyler wasted no time in rushing closer to the monster to deliver an accurate, crushing blow. Mira screamed for the guy to stay away, because he wouldn't be able to do anything anyway. The hero walked as close as possible and activated the maximum level Qingyu Palm. The Qingyu Palm was combined with the dragon transformation skill, which allowed it to deal more damage to the enemy. Through the eyes of the dragon elder, he found the monster's core and swung to avoid missing. Tyler's attack pierced the wanderer with an unimaginable stream of chi energy, which literally flew through his hand in a powerful column and simply destroyed the monster's core. It shattered into small pieces, which meant that he could no longer rebel. The system window stated that due to the victory, the dragon transformation skill increased by 5%. This was a pleasant surprise for Tyler, because the more often you use a skill, the more it improves. Mira stood below with her mouth open, because a student with the 1st level of chi had just demolished a monster 3 levels higher than himself with one blow. The system noticed that such a manifestation of strength and help at the right time had a good effect on Mira's attitude. She is interested in the hero, and her favor is 20 points. Now she was already considered as a new cultivation partner. The system also provided her characteristics. It turned out that the sister was the main disciple of the master of the Cloud Pavilion. By nature, she is a little arrogant, but she is good with a sword and has never been with a man. Tyler liked this situation. He was ready to give his all in order to win the full favor of his partner. The hero suddenly began to notice something was wrong. When the number of monsters increased significantly, the young man threw Mira the last power pill developed by the medical department, which increases physical performance. He told her to take the pill now because something terrible was about to happen. There were more and more possessed wanderers. A difficult battle awaited them, requiring a lot of strength and attention to detail. They agreed to cover each other's backs and rushed to attack the evil spirits. For Tyler, this was a good opportunity to gain experience. The hero professionally used Qingyu's palm, crushing monsters in his path. Mira also did not lag behind. She maneuverably demolished the skeletons with her sword. The older sister insisted that the core of this place should be at the top behind one of the doors. To check this, Tyler began clearing the way. With each victory over the possessed wanderer, the dragon's transformation increased in levels. The young man relentlessly spread evil and gained experience points for his new skill. Accordingly, with each defeated enemy, a more powerful reprisal awaited the next one. Tyler was happy with this trick of the system. The guy was only in favor of all the monsters attacking him, and he received 1,000,000 skill points. Sister Mira just looked with admiration and shock at how our guy was destroying everything there. The girl could not believe that he was only at the first level of Qi, because his techniques were amazing. Mira reasoned that judging by the fluctuations in spiritual power, the young man really had not yet overcome Qi refining. The real power of these monsters is above the build level. The girl knew that even for her, it would be difficult to retreat unharmed. But Tyler was overwhelmed with strength. Monsters died from just one blow. He didn't even consider Great Master Li his equal. The guy managed to get to the door, but after pulling the handle, it became clear that it was locked. The guys were already confused, but Mira suggested that the core could be located not far from the place of their teleportation, and this is on the floor below. Tyler suddenly noticed something strange. The imprint on the wall from the impact was familiar. He realized that there was no point in going down. After all, they did not change floors, but were on the same floor to which they were teleported. This was clear from the wall that the world hit during the fight with the first monster. Tyler resorted to divine consciousness to understand the real layout. He saw that this array was illusory, and it looked like there were only 3 floors. Suddenly everything started to shake and the monsters began to change appearance. The system warned that the Corridor of Nightmares had been updated, and the possessed wanderers had increased their strength by 1 level. The next renewal of their strength will occur in 5 minutes. The color of the monsters has changed from green to red, so it will now be more difficult to defeat them. The hero tensed because it looked like an impossible task. Defeating monsters, the strength and number of which is growing every 5 minutes, already gave rise to doubts. The wanderers were constantly saying something, but it was unclear. Tyler warned his older sister that the monsters' powers were growing, and they had little time. Mira blew off the head of another possessed person with her amazing technique. The skull flew off with incredible speed. Even though he was flying down, it still seemed like he was flying up. It was very strange. Speculation began to creep in that the lower and upper floors were somehow connected. Tyler saw a new door that they hadn't checked yet and decided to concentrate on it. The guy asked the girl to buy him some time, but she warned that the 6th stage of building the foundations was her limit, so she could no longer cope with monsters 1 level higher. The young man took out all his medicines and began to consume them to be on the safe side. He tried to increase his strength and efficiency, even speed and reflexes, that's how serious it was. Mira noticed that the monsters not only became stronger, but also acquired a new attack style. At the same time, the wanderers continued to shout something. The girl, with the flight of an azure shadow, cut off their energy tongues with which they tried to grab her. A strange liquid poured from these tongues, as if it were acid, and it flew straight towards the older sister. Tyler noticed this and wanted to warn, but it was too late. The acid had already gotten on the girl's clothes. It just so happened that those areas where the acid hit burned, and Mira stood half naked. The hero did not expect that his eyes would again witness something awkward. The girl noticed that the young man was just standing and watching, instead of looking for a way out. So she told him to get down to business. Tyler quickly took his eyes off his admiration and ran to the doors. Despite the important matters, he still wanted to admire his older sister, but he put it off until later and began to break down the door. The hero used his legendary Qingyu palm and attacked the door with all his might. No matter how hard he tried, the door still wouldn't budge, and Mira was also at the end of her strength. The system warned that the Nightmare Corridor had been updated again. Now the monsters have reached the 8th degree of building foundations, and soon the strength will increase again. Tyler decided it was time to take more pills and without hesitation popped a couple of them into his mouth. The system window again warned that continuous consumption of pills would weaken the effect and duration of their action. He didn't expect this. It was even a little offensive. The Wanderers were transformed again, but the guys could not solve the riddle with the exit. The monsters continued to scream something inexorably, but it was difficult to understand them. They kept trying to get closer to Mira. Tyler saw that they were surrounding her, so he picked her up and carried her away. The beauty was indignant, saying there was no need to carry her in her arms. She was still able to fight. The hero explained that there was no longer any point in the battle. After all, it is impossible to kill all the monsters, so you need to save your strength and run for as long as you can. When Mira understood everything, she no longer resisted and didn't even mind if Tyler stared at her. But he had something else in his head. The guy had 3 days left before the curse was activated. He was going to survive by any means necessary, but this illusory array seemed like a trap. It was very strange, because the system gave me the task to go through this corridor of nightmares, and the system cannot give impossible tasks. This means the solution must be 100%. Tyler started thinking about these monsters so he wouldn't miss anything. They are called wandering demoniacs and they say something, but what does it mean? The hero thought and listened. There was meaning in their incomprehensible sounds. They constantly demanded to give up the girl. Now it has become clear why they are called possessed. Junior brother, that's enough. Let me go and run for your life. At least you survive, Mira bravely declared in the arms of the young man. Oh, okay, no problem, Tyler said with a grin and threw his sister to the monsters. The girl did not expect such a turn of events, so she was shocked. The guy explained that her body was the key to the exit. Mira did not understand him, so she blamed him for throwing her straight into the clutches of these monsters. Tyler asked her to trust and not resist in order to carry out the plan. The monsters stopped attacking and happily dragged the girl somewhere. The hero took advantage of this, because he knew that this was the way out. The elder sister began to understand the dirty thoughts of these possessed skeletons. They wanted physical contact with her, so they demanded that the girl be given back. Mira said that she would not do this even to save her life. For her, it was better to die. But Tyler didn't intend to let the situation get to that point. He just wanted to get to the exit and told his sister about it. The skeletons dragged the girl to the right door, because only monsters could open it. And as soon as the monster, full of hope for love, touched the door handle, it immediately opened. Mira couldn't believe it was so easy. Tyler caught the moment when the door was open and demolished the skeleton that was holding his sister to free her. The hero told her to immediately close the door so as not to let the others in. The girl fulfilled his request with all her strength. While she was propping up the door, Tyler locked the lock from inside. Finally, there was an opportunity to breathe out for a while. The monsters continued to storm the door from the other side. They were furious that they could not get the girl they wanted for entertainment. The system showed that the door would not last long. Information also appeared that the Corridor of Nightmares continues to be updated, and the skeletons will soon reach the 9th stage of building the foundations, and in 5 minutes, a new update will begin. Tyler estimated that the door would last 15 minutes at most. As soon as the guy realized this, he immediately told his older sister about everything. He said that it was urgent to look for the core. But Mira seemed to be losing control of her body. The girl sat down on the floor. She said she was fine, and it was just fatigue. Tyler leaned his elbow on her to support her. He dragged her to a place where he could put the girl so that she could rest, and he could start searching for the core. But suddenly Mira's hand grabbed the young man's neck and dragged him along against his will. The older sister threw the hero onto the bed and began to shamelessly pester her, as if something had possessed her. Tyler couldn't understand what was happening to her. He even screamed to bring her back to her sanity. The system provided an explanation. It turned out that this room has a unique zone of influence on girls. Here, all female characters have 100 favor with the male character, but it was an imposed feeling of charm. The girl was not aware of her actions. Her mind was far away, and her body did not listen. She attacked Tyler with kisses as if possessed. Meanwhile, in the forest of mystical daggers in the crystal cave, all the other students were completing the task. Ethan smashed monsters with his tiger fist. Nang used the lightning brush arrogantly and effortlessly. All the wolves who tried to attack them suffered from his technique. It was like an easy game for them. All the girls admired the strength of the two brothers. And so the heavenly pride passed the first floor of the mystical dagger forest in one breath. Everyone gathered in a small group, because teleportation to the second floor had already begun. A powerful column of energy rose to the skies, transporting the students to the next stage of the mission. everyone was safely transported to the second floor of the Mystical Daggers. While the other girls admired the local beauty and were glad that they had the opportunity to visit such a unique place, Aurora slowly moved away from them so as not to attract attention. Ethan admired the first hero of the sect, his friend Nange, because his lightning brush had reached a minor level in just half a year. Nange in turn praised his friend for his tiger fist, which had recently gained 10,000 feet of strength. A handful of salt in these pleasantries was Ethan's joke. He drew his friend's attention to the fact that his bride was running away from him again. Nange shouted after her that the monsters in this place were much stronger than her, and demanded that the girl return immediately. But Aurora replied that she could not leave Tyler alone, because they were from the same pavilion and must protect each other. The beauty's groom only said that this boy had long since died on the first floor. He was extremely unhappy that Aurora cared about him so much, which is why he lost his temper. At that moment, one of the younger sisters discovered the grass they needed without roots. The guys did not expect that they would be able to find her so soon. The girls, without any doubt, began to tear this grass, because there was a lot of it. There would be enough for everyone. One of the sisters pulled the leaves of the grass with all her might. It was quite difficult. The grass did not give in, but the girl did not give up and made every effort. But along with the grass, something else of enormous size burst out of the ground, and the younger sister fell over. A discovery from the bowels of the earth fell on top of her. The girl opened her eyes to see what it was. To everyone's surprise, it was a dead man with bright green eyes who was screaming loudly. The disciples of the sect became wary because there were many such underground finds, and they all began to come out. The girl got scared and ran to her comrades for protection. The leader of the dead said in a calm tone that he would not harm the students if they left this place. Nangi ordered all members of the squad to take formation for defense and a more coordinated attack if necessary. As stated in the sect's records, these monsters are human puppets, and the rootless grass in the heart fence is the result of absorbing practitioners. Their strength should be at least at the second or third stage of the foundation formation. If the attack is coordinated, they will not be a problem. But is it? The girls decided to use the numbing technique to neutralize the monsters, but someone dispersed this attack in one fell swoop. The dead greeted their older brother, who stood up for them.
The man who dispelled the student's technique asked not to touch these creatures, because they are very weak.
Nangya suspiciously asked him to introduce himself and tell him the purpose of being in this place. My name is Kim. I am a disciple of the Cloud Sword Pavilion, who was trapped here 100 years ago. This is my badge. The man calmly introduced himself, throwing the token into the guy's hands. Indeed, the token was personalized and looked like a genuine one. The first-class fighters were surprised, because the thing was really real. Is this man telling the truth? True or not, the disciples still believed and bowed in greeting to Master Kim. The man asked them not to bow for nothing, and immediately got down to business. He said that those people behind died in the forest of mystical daggers. Their wandering souls are forever sealed in their decaying bodies. Kim asked to give them a chance to be reborn in the current world. After his words, the monsters fell to their knees and begged for help from the disciples of the Qingyu sect. Aurora, meanwhile, had already run far away. The idea of saving Tyler gave her the strength to run without stopping. It seemed strange to her that she had already walked half the island, but there were no monsters on her way. It's like some kind of conspiracy. Along the way, she was tormented by bad thoughts. She was very worried about Tyler and his life. The girl's memory recalled Nanga's words that the guy had long since died on the first floor. But Aurora didn't want to believe it. Something told her that everything was fine with him. After all, you can't deceive your heart. Despite her rude behavior with the hero, she treated him well. The system provided new information that Tyler and Aurora had developed a soul connection. The strength of this connection will increase as the level of intimacy increases, because according to legend, those whose hearts beat in unison feel each other's presence. And plus 5 points of Aurora's favor towards the hero. Romance is certainly good, but Tyler was not at all up to it. Their passions flared up there so much that it was scary. Mira had no control over her body or desires at all, which made the guy's head spin. The terrible sister simply did not give him a chance to escape, attacking him with passionate kisses. It cannot be said that he really resisted strongly, because this was a real chance for pair cultivation and salvation from the curse. But Tyler tried to control his common sense, because he knew that the door would last about 15 minutes, and he didn't really want to be surrounded by skeletons during pleasure. The hero began to think with his head, and not with anything else. He jumped out on top of Mira and tried to bring her to her senses, but the girl, with a slight groan, applied the numbing technique to Tyler so that he would not escape. Instantly, his hands were shackled with energy chains. "Lord, what are you doing to me?" the young man shouted, not knowing how to get out of this and not lose his mind. Suddenly, a brilliant idea came to him. He remembered that he had saved the Anshin pill. The pill was of legendary quality. It calms the mind and soul, stabilizes mental fluctuations, and has a small chance of resisting the effect of enchantment. The young man's hands were in the shackles of his older sister's technique, so he held the pill between his teeth. Tyler leaned over and kissed Mira to give her the pill and restore her sanity. As soon as the tablet entered the stomach, it immediately began to act. The chains on the hero's hands were destroyed, and the sister no longer behaved defiantly. There was some strange book on the table next to the bed. Tyler noticed it and wanted to get acquainted, because every clue is important now. Although the system determined the book to be unique, for some reason it could not name its class and properties. The young man saw this for the first time. It was very interesting. He opened it to King and began to carefully read every word. The book turned out to be such a teleport to another reality, because when Tyler looked up, he saw a completely different situation in front of him. The young man was transported into someone's body, and this person was thinking in his thoughts why it was necessary to kill a high school student. Tyler couldn't understand why there was someone else's voice in his head. It was strange. The hero realized that he was in the body of a man whose school was destroyed after the disaster, and he had to act as an exchange student. The system provided a task called Burn of the Past. The reward for completion is the secret key of an unknown skill. There was also information that the guy had entered a fragment of the technique master's memory, and his consciousness, along with his actions, would be connected with this person. The system asked to enjoy the new experience of being in the life of a female character. Tyler was a little scared by such experimental practices, but there was no way out. He needed to figure it out. The exchange guy deliberately disguised himself as a pretty high school student in order to be closer to his goal. The girls from the class were discussing the local handsome man who had won their hearts. It was this womanizer who was the target of a guy in a skirt named Sam. He had been following this high school student for a month and felt like some kind of pervert. Suddenly, the conversations in the class stopped because the biology teacher came in. She was clearly in a bad mood, so she found an excuse to scold the students for not wiping off the chalk before the lesson. The teacher began to wipe the board herself, but her small height did not allow her to reach the very top. No one among the disciples dared to help the evil woman, but someone came close to her and took her hand. This was the same handsome guy. He offered his help to the teacher, because he was impressive in height. The woman jumped back in surprise that the guy so brazenly touched her hand. In order to smooth out this awkward moment, the teacher began to scold the young man for walking, citing the fact that at a young age it is necessary to study the mutation of plants and animals. Otherwise, in the future, he will be useless to society. The handsome man, without any shame for his actions, approached the woman closer and closer, claiming that he had carefully studied all the material on biology. To confirm his knowledge, he spoke about the lannan flower, which appeared as a result of a mutation of honeysuckle, has a purple color, and a soothing aroma for the mind. The high school student gently placed this flower in the teacher's hair, making her feel embarrassed. This plant could only be obtained outside the galley, which is unsafe. The woman wanted to scold him for this, but this impudent person stopped her ardor. The guy hugged the teacher to his chest and said that on her birthday he wanted to do something nice and make such a strict woman smile. The students in the background just looked touched. This conquered the teacher's icy heart, but she told the young man not to do such a thing in front of witnesses and not to be late in the future. The undercover student was beside himself with anger because of the tricks of this scoundrel, because he and the teacher turned the entire class into his personal harem. Tyler just sat there in shock from it all. The school ladies' man ran through the forest in the darkness of the night for unknown purposes. The guy in the skirt watched him, at the same time hating him for such injustice because he was older, but he had no luck with girls. He didn't expect that this handsome guy's lewd qualities would be passed down from generation to generation, so he decided to personally put an end to the bad genes of his family. While Sam was thinking about all this, someone's hand with chloroform quietly reached out from behind. Taking advantage of the fact that the victim was captivated by observation, this maniac tried to disable her using a special poison. But the good thing is that Sam is not really an ordinary schoolgirl. He managed to break free and resist. The sickly fat man who tried to drug him introduced himself. The man said that his name was Ian, and that he was the one who sent love letters to the beautiful high school student when she first transferred. Sam began to panic because he had inhaled some poison and moreover could not understand the motives of this man. He was worried that his identity had been revealed. But the maniac had no idea that there was a guy in front of him. He even excitedly suggested that the high school girl liked that handsome boy from her class. "I noticed that you have been following him for a month now," Yang said, unbuttoning his shirt. "If you don't want him to find out, then accept my love for you," the man shouted, opening his shirt. On the inside of his clothes were all the napkins and candy wrappers that Sam had used. This patient even collected bottles that his passion used. The man even admitted that he licked the chair on which the victim of his fantasies sat. Ian wanted to get the body of the girl of his dreams, no matter the cost. The guy in the skirt and Tyler simply couldn't believe that such preoccupied people existed. It was disgusting to even think about it. Sam was losing control of his body because the drug was starting to take effect and it was difficult to stand on his feet. Taking this opportunity, the maniac immediately rushed to his passion with dirty intentions. The guy wasn't going to give him what he wanted, so he took out a hidden blade. Holding the blade in his teeth, Sam slashed it across the maniac's neck to neutralize him. He did this reflexively, because he found himself in a dangerous position. Not every schoolgirl is capable of this. If the school finds out about this and begins to insist on an investigation, they will be able to reveal the identity of the fake student. Coming out of this, Sam decided to quickly get rid of the man's body. But while he was thinking about how to bury him, Yang had already begun to mutate and turn into a monster. "My cat, do you want to play?" A mutated maniac suddenly attacked from behind. From one Yun, 4 more appeared. All of them wanted to realize the dirty thoughts of one man, taking advantage of the body of the schoolgirl he was raving about. Rootless grass can only parasitize people with evil thoughts. Feeding on the perverted mind, it can adapt to its host and take on its appearance. But the fact that this grass reached all the way to the territory of this school was already frightening. After all, this meant that the consequences of the disaster had time to spread. At that moment, a high school student, whom Sam was watching, appeared and rescued the guy in the skirt from the clutches of the mutant pervert with one blow. He ordered to move away from this grass, because it is very dangerous due to its demonic qualities. While classmates were discussing the danger of the grass, Ian began to attack, and Sam, noticing this, warned the handsome boy. But it was too late. The man managed to get close and deliver a powerful blow to the chest of the guy from Tyler's family. He stamped it into wood with one blow of his hand and had no intention of stopping there. His mind was already infected with evil, but the grass enhanced this effect. Sam began to worry about his classmate, so he asked if he was injured. The guy was sitting under a tree, recovering from an unexpected attack. "Oh, handsome Van decided to save his classmate. Is that strong enough?" The appendage from Ian came closer and put his hand on the guy's head. He felt very strong and was confident in his superiority. But Van was not going to tolerate this. The guy grabbed the mutant by the hand, and he simply silently plucked it out, like a leaf from a tree. The monster screamed in pain and horror. He could not come to terms with the fact that his strength was surpassed. The high school student only seemed like an ordinary handsome guy, but in fact he was an excellent master, knowledgeable in many things. Sam couldn't believe that an ordinary person could possess such ferocious, inhuman strength. Vaughn defeated this monster in seconds. It was reminiscent of that incident in Tyler's village, when the mounted bandits were defeated by one damn boy they hit. Our hero immediately caught the similarity and began to slowly understand everything. The current world has changed and become dangerous. Good girls shouldn't just wander around the forest at night, Van said, approaching Sam. The guy approached closely. At that moment, Tyler noticed the imprint of the dragon transformation technique on his face. "Do you know why, among all the girls, I didn't take you into my harem?" Van asked with a grin, spreading his arms. He ripped open Sam's shirt, revealing his fake breasts. The guy knew everything from the very beginning because you can't fool his sense of smell. He smells girls right away, and Sam is a guy. Van turned away with a laugh and began fiddling with his pants, wanting to show his new friend his treasure. The guy in the skirt was outraged by this behavior, because it looked like perversion of the highest degree. But everything was not as it seemed. Van took out a book from his pants that he wanted to share. The book was intended only for real men, and he was glad to share it with someone. This is an out-of-print work by a famous artist before the disaster. Van lent it to his new friend for a few days. Opening the book, Sam saw a collection of images of naked girls in various provocative poses. This clearly excited the fantasies of any anxious schoolchild. Tyler suddenly emerged from this fragment of the past and found himself in the dark, holding only this book in his hands. The system task was successfully completed. The hero completed the memory and received a reward. And the reward was a collection of paired cultivation, which the school children looked at in the forest. In addition to positive skills in dual cultivation, this book could also be the core of the formation and a teleport in the realm of the Dagger Forest, but only temporarily. Suddenly, in the darkness, Tyler began to hear someone's voice. He insisted that it was this book that became the door to a new world. It was Sam, who, having survived the experience with the student, became his loyal follower and refused to kill him, contrary to the task. The guy's voice insisted that throughout his life he had killed an infinite number of people, and had never made a mistake, not counting Van. Sam became the master of the secret kingdom of the Dagger Forest, and all these 10,000 years he was waiting for the representative of the Van family, who was Tyler. The hero tensed a little. He couldn't believe that he was somehow connected with this place. But the owner of the kingdom claimed that only a relative of his friend could enter the hidden floor. In addition, the mark on Tyler's chest gave away his entire family. Sam said that judging by the young man's condition, he only had 3 days left. He ordered that he master the collection on paired cultivation during these days, because it would help him a lot. The hero asked to tell about the secret of his curse and the power of the Black Dragon. But time was running out. The owner of the kingdom said that if Tyler wants to get answers, he must go to the deepest part of the secret kingdom, where a prepared surprise will await him. Upon returning from another world, the system notified that an unknown skill had been provided. The temporary skill Skeleton Lord also became available, allowing the hero to control wandering wanderers within the secret kingdom. Tyler did not expect that the secret kingdom would be connected with the secrets of his body and family. And this owner of the secret kingdom was also somehow connected with him. While he was going through this task and dealing with the secrets, Mira woke up, realizing with horror what was happening. She sat on the bed and looked at the hero, remembering everything. And when I remembered, I almost died of shame. Tyler saw her nervous look and tried to calm the girl down, citing the fact that she was poisoned by the miasma of the skeleton, but it was all over. But something told him that everything would still be his fault. And he was right. Mira immediately took out her sword and pressed it to the guy's throat. The elder sister said that if the hero even tells anyone about this, she will cut off his important reproductive organs. Tyler swore with his life that not a single word would come out of his mouth on this matter, and he also asked the girl in return to keep his secret about the power he possesses. Mira immediately calmed down and lowered her sword. The hero exhaled with relief. She said that she was pleasantly surprised by his action. After all, any other man would immediately take advantage of the opportunity and the body of the possessed girl. So Tyler, in her eyes, was a fairly honest and decent young man. This is my family's tradition. We are always submissive, behave with dignity, and are aware of the harm of drugs, the hero repeated. Although, in fact, he really wanted to do paired cultivation with her. But he only understood that he needed at least an hour, not 15 minutes. If he had taken on this, he would have said goodbye to life right away. But Mira was touched by this pseudonymous kindness of the guy, and her favor towards him increased. Now it was 70 points out of 100. And if Tyler continues like this, he will be doing dual cultivation with his sister in 2 days. He was interested in experiencing the effect obtained after reading a collection of an unknown artist. Mira rushed to look for the core of the formation, because there was little time left. Tyler said he already found it. The elder sister ordered to teleport immediately to catch up with the main forces, because only Brother Nanga has the order to destroy the borders. But the hero did not see the need to rush. He asked the girl to wait a little. What he had in mind began to materialize. The system notified that the possessed skeletons had reached a new level of power, namely the first level of the Golden Core. They transformed into one huge skeletal monster, which tore down the wall with its skull to get to the guys. Mira looked in horror at the size of the monster, and Tyler knew from the beginning that this would happen. Moreover, he even counted on it. The system window stated that the complete collection of dual cultivation techniques had turned on the secret realm key function, and teleportation to the next floor has already begun. The skeleton wanted to attack, but the hero raised the book up and he became submissive, despite his evil nature. Skeleton Lord's temporary skill has been activated. The last form of the possessed wanderer recognized its master. This gave Tyler confidence that they could get out. But there will still be quite a few surprises along the way. Meanwhile, Nange and the rest of the disciples were diligently trying to help the lost souls. They set up a teleportation formation and informed Master Kim that everything was ready. Nangi took out his badge and got ready. He tossed it up and ordered the boundary break token to open. The guy also said that it will take 1 hour for the portal to fully open, so you need to wait a little. Kim praised him for such work. Ethan didn't miss the opportunity to play a prank on his brother again. So he reminded him about the runaway bride, who will remain here if she doesn't return, because there is only one token for destroying borders. Nanga was angry with him for these words, but he was not going to do anything, because he believed that Aurora had a connection with Tyler for a long time. Besides, her spiritual water route was destroyed. Someone inhaled her true scent. Referring to this, the young man no longer saw value in her for himself. Master Kim said that he took care of her search, because the dead know the local area well, so they will immediately find the girl. Nange, who had already come to terms with her disappearance, bashfully thanked the man. The guy also decided to ask the master a question that interested him. You and the head of the Ramil Pavilion are from the same generation, so why after 100 years are you still at the stage of laying the foundations? Could it be that the secret realm is suppressing the cultivation of the people who entered it? Nan asked naively. But Kim, looking into the distance, replied that in the secret kingdom one can calmly increase cultivation. This answer surprised the students. The fact is that I too had just entered the secret kingdom, the man added with a grin. The fact is that I too have just entered the secret kingdom, the man added with a grin. After this confession, he opened the Great Nine Spirit Summoning Formation. At this moment, the disciples of the sect realized that they had been brazenly scammed. The Nange token was destroyed right before his eyes, and there was no way out of this place anymore. 2 dead men stood in Aurora's path, and without hesitation she used the blue cloud palm technique on them. They immediately tried to gain her trust, citing the fact that they were sent by Master Nange to save her. They also offered to give her all the grass without roots. But the girl did not believe this lie. The uniform on them was too outdated. It had been replaced a long time ago. Amanda shared this knowledge with her during the audit. Therefore, Aurora demanded that the monsters show their true nature. Ha! We've been revealed! What a surprise! The dead were amused. These monsters took on their true, terrifying face. They had the goal of delivering Aurora, and whether she lived or not no longer mattered, because the sect leader's plan must go through without a hitch. Aurora asked how they were connected and what the plan was all about. One of the monsters changed its location with lightning speed, and found itself behind her with a grin, and agreed to tell her everything. But first he told her to meet the king of the underworld. After these words, he rushed to attack the girl. His blow was of enormous force. Everything around began to tremble. Aurora had no chance to stay on her feet. They are clearly very strong. The girl is definitely not their rival, and besides, there is no chance to escape. The monster swung at Aurora to finish her off completely. At this hopeless moment, she remembered the back of her savior and prayed to all higher powers to help her. And suddenly, a teleportation formation of enormous size appeared in the sky. But the monsters considered this not such a serious problem, so they were confident that they could easily deal with the new arrivals. But the formation became larger and larger. It began to make me nervous, because this was clearly something unusual. Aurora tried with all her might to see who it was. And this is Tyler, Mira, and a new bony friend who have arrived to restore order here. The monsters could not believe their eyes, because the possessed wanderer had never reached this floor. And since there was a discrepancy in the plan, one of them decided to immediately report everything, and the second was supposed to distract the skeleton until the disciples of the sect died. The dead men distributed tasks among themselves, and the first, without wasting time, ran to report. I don't care how you managed to take control of the possessed person and bring him to this floor, because if you don't want anything to happen to your companion, you should follow my instructions. The remaining monster with grass in its chest repeated, holding Aurora hostage. Tyler didn't really listen. He just ordered his bony friend to aim straight at the green monster's head. The possessed wanderer listened to his master. The system provided information about all skeleton skill activations. The brute activated a Terria-level skeletal beam and aimed it right at the target. Although he aimed at the head, half of the monster's body was blown off, but Aurora was safe and free. The skeleton ray was quite powerful. The girl was in shock, because it not only destroyed her offender, but also seriously spoiled the local landscape. After rescuing Aurora, Tyler and older sister Mira jumped from the skeleton to the ground. The hero gave the command to the possessed man not to miss the monster that had escaped. The system window warned that the wandering possessed did not have enough energy and began charging. The fugitive was glad that he was able to escape in time, because if it were not for the seal on his chest, he would not have been so strong. But after these words, the seal on his chest disappeared. He noticed this and stopped to understand what was happening. It's simple. The skeleton feeds on these seals. They give him strength and energy, so he literally sucked everything out of the green monster. The bony friend looked well fed and strong. He even created a sword for himself. The system window showed that the possessed Hulk was fully charged and ready for new attacks. He swung his demonic sword harder and took aim. His eyes glowed as brightly as his weapon. The green dead man already understood perfectly well that his death awaited him. The skeleton smashed the monster to the ground with one blow. Tyler, meanwhile, rejoiced at this amazing power. From the power of the Golden Core stage, such power was expected. The hero even dreamed of taking his bony friend with him to become invincible. While he was admiring, Aurora approached him. The guy greeted the girl from afar. To her great surprise, she didn't even beat him as before, but rather rushed in with hugs, because she was very glad that he was alive. The warden of the medical pavilion kept asking how they managed to tame this huge skeleton. Tyler immediately transferred all the laurels to his older sister Mira, saying that she was the one who tamed him. Mira stood in shock, but could not deny it, because she promised to keep the hero's capabilities a secret. Aurora believed, and immediately began to sincerely thank her elder sister for saving the medical pavilion student. The girl taciturnly asked not to bother with gratitude. Aurora immediately became suspicious because her older sister behaved so calmly in Tyler's presence, being practically half naked. She wondered what happened between them there. Is this jealousy? After all, looking at how Mira protects the hero, the thought may creep in that she is not indifferent to him. By the way, Mira decided to add that Tyler also took good care of her during the mission. After these words, Aurora suffered. She immediately became interested in how this pervert could take care of girls. "Hey you! What were you doing with your sister Mira? Answer, unfortunate voyeur!" Aurora shouted after the guy. But the hero decided to run away from answering an uncomfortable question, citing the need to help the rest of the sect's students. And Mira just laughed on the sidelines. Tyler told the girls to quickly climb onto the skeleton so they could help the rest of the guys. And the bony friend set off at high speed towards the given goal. Meanwhile, the system launched a forced pair cultivation task. After all, Tyler could only get to the deepest part of the secret kingdom alone. Due to a lack of time, it was necessary to select a target for dual cultivation on this floor. The reward was unknown, and the punishment for failure is the worst that can be, that is, death at the end of time. Reading this, the hero got really nervous. After all, the scarecrow was not even the time limit, but the fact that you had to choose one girl out of two. The rest of the Qingyu sect's disciples were trapped. They tried to hold on with all their might, and the monsters were only waiting for them to fall so that they could profit from their energy. One of the younger sisters could no longer withstand such pressure, and admitted her weakness. She was instantly pulled out from under the dome by evil forces. She screamed in pain and hopelessness, because the monsters literally devastated her body. And in a matter of seconds, all that was left of the girl was a wet red mark. The situation became more and more serious, because it was clear that it would be very difficult to get out of here alive, and the remains of the younger sister were an example of this. Kim was amused and triumphant that his patron's plan was moving forward successfully. Nange and Ivan could not understand why the portal turned red. The guys asked Master Kim for what purpose he targeted the disciples of the Qingyu sect. The man believed that it was already possible to reveal the secret of the conspiracy, because they would not live anyway. But the fact was that the key to the eternal immortality of the secret kingdom of the Dagger Forest lies in the most secret part. It is there that Master Seymour needs so much. But Kim didn't have time to finish. He was interrupted by the second youngest sister, who was consumed by the darkness from under the dome. Ethan tried to hold the girl back by grabbing her hand, but unfortunately this did not give anything. The girl was swallowed up by dark forces. And Kim continued his story that in order to carry out the plan, 4 cultivator girls must be sacrificed. Ethan held his little sister's hand in horror, of which there was nothing left. The man said that all that remained was to sacrifice Aurora, and, in theory, she should already be caught. But his insidious plans were interrupted by a possessed wanderer, who roared with anger and flew straight towards the master to strike. After his blow, a large ball of dust was left, and Nange and Ivan tried to see what had happened. Kim stopped the blow of the skeleton's sword with one hand, He was terribly interested in how he got onto this floor, because this was not part of the plan. Without wasting any time, Tyler ran straight towards the man along the blade of the possessed sword. Aurora asked him not to risk his life, because she didn't know what the hero was capable of. Nange did not expect to see the guy from the medical department because he was already resigned to the idea that he was dead. The system issued a notification about increasing the dragon transformation skill. Plus, a key character was discovered, that is, Kim. Sistma claimed that if you kill him with your own hands, then the chain of tasks of the Secret Kingdom will end. Tyler was glad that he had the opportunity to fight such a big fish, and he couldn't let the others finish him off. The hero used a blue cloud palm, which knocked Master Kim off his feet with a wave of energy. The impact was quite strong. It left a deep mark on the ground and a large cloud of dust. But there were no signs of completion of the task, even though Tyler hit the enemy right in the heart. An ordinary Foundation stage demon would not be able to withstand this blow. This meant only one thing. Ha! At the first level of Qi, it is impossible to make such a powerful Qingyun palm. Master Kim grinned, creating a whirlwind. The hero tensed that this man could understand his little secret. The man was interested and asked the guy to share the secret of such power. For a moment, Tyler assumed that this master possessed a defensive skill of the Golden Qi stage, but the system gave out the characteristics of the enemy. Master Kim is at the 9th stage of Foundation building, who took a Qi strengthening pill. Its duration is 9 minutes. Understanding that Kim simply increased his cultivation made him feel better. After all, he no longer seemed invincible. Tyler turned to the girls and asked them to leave, claiming that he could handle everything himself. The wandering possessed skeleton activated the 3rd level beam. The hero gave him orders to take care of the Green Dead so that they would not interfere. The bony friend obediently followed his master's orders, incinerating every monster in his path. The Green Dead were extremely unhappy that a wanderer from another floor had penetrated them. But what infuriated them more was that the skeleton was also subordinate to man. They decided that they needed to get rid of the possessed person as quickly as possible, because otherwise they would not have a chance to get out of here. Their fate was, in principle, difficult. They were tortured during life, and even after death they were destined to die again. While the Green Dead fought with the bony possessed, Aurora and Mira successfully left Tyler's demonic transport. Nangi and Ethan begged the girls to get them out of this trap as quickly as possible. The elder sister told Aurora to release all her spiritual power and break the formation. But Aurora was more worried about Tyler's fate. She said that he couldn't just be thrown to the mercy of a sick master, because the young man was only at the 1st level of Qi. But Mira made it clear to her that she trusted Tyler. And he is a strategist or something. But there is no more qualified candidate to fight Master Kim. Aurora was very surprised by these words. The girl began to have even more doubts and assumptions that there was something between these two. And by the way, the technique that the hero used, Aurora remembered that he had read about it before teleportation. I have a lucrative offer for you, boy. Tell me about your strength, and I will let you live. The vile master bargained. He was simply bursting with curiosity. Because you rarely see this, Tyler decided to stop bidding, offering his second fist in response. The two went head-to-head, attacking each other head-on. Everything around shook from such force. It's like two titans fighting. The hero probed the strengths and weaknesses of the enemy. During the fight, he realized that he should work on his speed, because Kim is very fast. Tyler quickly pulled out a dagger from his system inventory to fend off the master's attack, but the enemy's blow was powerful. Because the dagger that had been with the guy for 10 years fell into pieces, even after blocking the master's attack. Kim was in earnest. He ran towards Tyler with a maniacal smile and threats that this was not the end. The hero used the Qinglin technique to avoid the enemy's attack and rose above him. Master Kim did not expect that the young man could master such a strong technique, which made his interest in him grow even more. They made eye contact again, attacking each other. Tyler even used Qingyu's palm. The spectacle was impressive. Is this all you can do? Don't disappoint me. Kim grinned as if impenetrable. The hero was a little nervous, because the man was literally blocking his every technique. The man threw the guy aside with all his strength. Tyler's strength was running out. He couldn't even imagine that it would be so difficult to destroy this man, but he couldn't give up. You are the most difficult Foundation phase opponent I have ever encountered. The hero honestly admitted. Kim said that he had bad news for his boyfriend. He asked if Tyler knew that grass could grow on a person's chest. You mean these evil creatures? The hero clarified. The master was surprised by the fact that the young man knew about the inner evil of these dead people. After all, almost all the disciples of the sect stupidly consider this to be good and constantly fall into its trap. Kim also said that this is an ancient demonic plant. But unfortunately, its power is sealed with a dagger in the chest, and no matter how it can be broken. But Tyler's skeleton seems to have found its solution to this problem. The wandering possessed was losing energy and therefore decided to start charging. He sucked demonic power from the green dead, because this was the only way he could continue to stand on his feet and fight. But something clearly went wrong. Instead of dying, they began to become even stronger. Their bodies began to mutate with incredible force, and they were very happy about it. The green dead began to intertwine with each other, forming a large bloodthirsty figure. Their mutation produced another thug, fueled by lust and greed. That is, all the temptations of lost souls. Against the background of the skeleton, this evil creature looked stronger. The situation was getting out of control, because the enemy was becoming more and more powerful. Tyler even thought about the possibility of dying. The hero hoped to get rid of at least Kim to simplify the task. He brought out his secret weapon in the form of sleeping dust and a large amount of extremely toxic poisons. The master immediately noticed this. Tyler, with the last of his strength, began to pelt his enemy with poisons. They exploded right in his face.
The guy wanted to poison him, and it would have succeeded. But Kim was far from being so simple.
He hid in his shield, as if in a cocoon, and was not going to fall for the young man's tricks. Tyler realized that this shield could even block poisonous dust. The man continued to throw hard blows. The system activated the movement technique for the owner. As he ran away, he realized that to win, he needed to use something more serious than ordinary pills. And he ran to gain time to absorb various kinds of antidotes. The guy was eating magic grass as he walked. It didn't taste very good, but it couldn't be helped. Notifications from the system began to appear that the hero had taken raw southern star. That was the name of the herb. This herb is poisonous in nature, but if used correctly, it allows the body to acquire temporary resistance to stronger poisons. Tyler continued to take other types of herbs to increase his resistance to deadly poisons. Have you decided to kill yourself with poisons? Here you are, stupid. Don't take away the pleasure of dealing with you, Kim shouted with a grin to the hero, who was choking on grass on a tree branch. The master cut off the branch on which the guy was sitting, demanding that he throw suicide out of his head and fight him. The system did not stop flashing before my eyes. With each new grass eaten, it gave a description of its properties. At the moment, I was already immune to 24 types of poison for 3 hours. But that was not all. Tyler continued to eat more and more, and the system adjusted and issued a bunch of notifications. The guy told himself to hold on in order to use his trump card. It was very difficult. The body resisted, but it had no right to give in. And so the system provided the final result of the herbal tradition. The hero's body was poisoned by 72 combinations of poisonous herbs. Level 5 active anti-toxic skill has been obtained. Tyler finally reached the conditions for his trump card. While Master Kim was mocking him, the guy brought him to light, saying that he was not the only one who could take powerful pills. Tyler took out his huge pill, which was super powerful. Although the hero expected to use it only after building a normal foundation, there was no other choice. So he quickly accepted it. This was the legendary red snake pill. It is made from 76 herbs, including red snake and snake gall. Increases spiritual power for 200 years. Contains fiery poison. Must be used very carefully. If you take it at a low level of foundation building, there is a chance that you can die from the fiery poison. Since the pill is of high quality, its effectiveness is multiplied up to 50 times. The energy column emanating from Tyler rose to the sky. It radiated immense power and made even the vile master a little nervous. The pill he took was extremely toxic and dangerous, so all the herbs he ate raw right now were supposed to help regulate the effects. While his resistance to poisons grew, the hero experienced a lot of pain, but still believed that it was better than being beheaded and dying a miserable death. At least the young man will know that he did everything possible. Resistance to the effects of fire poison reached 90%, which was almost complete resistance to toxicity. There was hope for a breakthrough, but the system also warned that 10% of the fire poison had entered the heart key, and the spiritual power had increased by 200 years. After this breakthrough, Tyler simply glowed with crushing power that emanated from his body. He no longer seemed like a helpless boy from a remote village. The guy looked like a powerful master who could stand up for himself. The system window informed about the increase in strength. Tyler moved to the 9th level of chi purification. The next sphere did not open. The system asked to repeat the action after some time. Master Kim didn't expect the hero to be able to make a breakthrough in such a short time. Meanwhile, Tyler felt pain in his heart. It looks like it was a side effect of the poison, but there's really no time to pay attention to it now. Kim was beside himself with anger. He couldn't understand how the guy could achieve such a crazy result with his cunning tricks. But it is worth noting that the man underestimates his opponent in vain, and naively thinks that there are no people capable of giving him a specific kick in the ass. The vile master, out of anger, immediately rushed to attack Tyler, but despite the pain in his chest, the guy found that his reaction had worsened, and now he could see every movement of the enemy almost in front. The hero dodged with incredible speed. Kim's blade struck the ground, and the young man reprimanded the man that he was too slow. It seems that the evil guy at the sect's beck and call has no time for jokes anymore. Tyler, using his heightened reaction, was finally able to deliver an accurate blow to his opponent in the hand with which he attacked. Kim stood and looked at his hand, from which the weapon had been knocked out. The man expressed his sincere surprise, because he always believed that in the Qingyu sect there were only weaklings without talent. The master said that now he will have to work hard and burn the hero out of this world. He had never had such a strong opponent before, so this fight added excitement to him. At this moment, the system warned that Master Kim had just broken through, but his level was not displayed. After all, if the enemy's sphere is 2 swaras higher than the hero's sphere, it will not be displayed. Tyler realized that the true level of a person exceeds all expectations. But can the system give tasks that cannot be completed? It was getting hotter, because it was not clear whether the students would be able to survive at all. Master Kim concentrated all his power on the deceitful destructive technique. He pointed his palm at Tyler and wished him a happy death and asked him to say hello to the king of the underworld. After this, the hero was on the verge, and Kim simply mocked, looking at him from above. He said that after the fire poison technique, poisoning sets in, and the guy only has half an hour to live. When this happened, all the other sect disciples who were saved ran to Tyler's aid. They confidently believed that their meager abilities would be enough to pacify this terrible man. The hero, with the last of his strength, shouted to the guys not to approach, worrying about their safety, otherwise they too would be destroyed. This vile person has hidden abilities that the disciples of the sect are not aware of, but they didn't seem to hear or didn't want to hear. So they took out their weapons, activated their most powerful techniques, and rushed to attack the enemy. Their self-confidence greatly amused Kim. He looked at them and simply said that the brave are stupid people who do not see the essence. After these words, the man used a very powerful technique on them, which pierced everyone who was closest to him. Ethan and his little sister paid with their lives for their courage. Aurora and Mira stopped in time and watched in horror as this man, for the sake of the eternal life of his master, mercilessly killed the best disciples of the Qingyu sect. The hope for salvation was fading before our eyes, but it couldn't all end like that.